across the plains. Hope rekindles in the crimson tide as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
I still love that drummer. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing this week? Let's see. What's up, 40? Good to see you, brother. Simon, good to see you, man. And, of course, Commander. Way to go. All right. How was your week, Dr. Jade?
Oh, you know, I don't know what's going on. My back's been killing me. You know?
That's called retirement.
Yeah.
The golf club's too much.
You know?
Yeah.
Walking around all bent over, but saw the chiropractor today, so hopefully that'll get straightened out overnight.
Yeah, pardon the pun, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, Bobbity, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. How's it going in the land of the cheat? Yeah, we got I'll tell you what, guys, normally you guys know that I do like all the different stories I put up, and Jade and I talk about it, but I usually have like one theme. This week's two themes. The first one is the California election steal that's happening right before our eyes, and Trump came out with something saying that they caught them. But the second one is 18-year-old Henry Novak, who was a stabbing victim in England, and it really pisses me off that this happened, because it's like they thought that they were going to get away with it, but they didn't. It's the whole system behind why he did it, claiming racism and whatnot, and the way that the police treated the young man. This is unreal. Let's go over what we're going to do this week. So this is the one. This one pisses me off. Right, the weapons-obsessed killer Vikram Dickwad, jailed for Henry Novak's murder. Tulsi Gabbard to declassify the COVID cover-up. We have to have a reckoning, guys, in this country. There has to be a reckoning for what the hell the Democratic Party did to us. And the libnuts go, well, the Republicans locked you down too. Yeah, until they realized it was bullshit. And then they reopened. and they had better numbers than you guys. New May jobs report, the payrolls jumped 172,000. So they didn't think that would even happen, right? Benny Johnson exposed how the Democrats are cheating in LA. It's like this is like a facility that nobody can get into, but he found voter registrations that were tied to that address, of course. Right, here we go. Spencer Pratt got 0 out of 24,000 votes in a late night dump in LA last night. It's impossible. It's just impossible. Same thing happened in Pennsylvania, Detroit. I mean, come on. They're doing the 2020 steal all over again. And Spencer Pratt would have taken it because he's the only guy in the entire race, the only one who is speaking rationally and is giving solutions to the problems that are out there. He's the only one that's saying, yeah, we're going to stop the corruption. We're going to end it. We're going to get rid of the homeless. We're going to have them put into mental homes, hospitals, wherever they got to go, but not on the streets anymore. And it can be done. He's talking to the feds already about getting money, grants to California to build all this stuff. And yet they're doing a 2020 steal on them. There's nothing suspicious about it at all, you know. So I'm telling you, that's what the themes are. Trump just got the last laugh on immigration. That's going to be a good one. Mass calls are erupting for the Supreme Court to step in and end that madness in California. It's undergoing another mail-in ballot steal. Then we have San Francisco under siege. I didn't know this. Honduran gangs have captured the city. Really? They went to San Francisco? Come on. Hey. The butthurt elites snarl over falling home prices thanks to H-1B and illegals getting the boot. I've been in these comment wars on the site, on the channel with these numbnuts, libnuts. They're saying, oh, the Democrats are going to win everything. You guys are going to lose it all. So here it is. As more details come out about Novak murder, it only gets worse. This is an update. And then it has the moral woke abyss that got Henry Novak killed. I know everybody says it's Novak. No, it's Novak. I looked it up. Caroline Levitt is enjoying motherhood, and the left is having a cow about it. Love it. Hakeem Jeffries does not want to talk about Florida's Democrat civil war because they are having a civil war. Ballots are all in, but California election results could take weeks to settle. Why? Well, we're going to get into that. Exclusive inside LA County election vote counting facility with rows of empty desks despite $336 million budget. Why is that? Why? Because they know what they got to do. SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, charged with offering would-be KKK neo-Nazi defectors salaries to stay in, spy on hate groups. Telling them, nah, we want you to stay in there so you can spy on them. Okay. I think that's a little bit like after the fact because they know they got caught, right? Like the tiki torches with the very fine people rally, right? Yeah, they lied about that too. But it's like the one guy, they paid him $870,000 or $270,000, sorry, over 8 years. But they paid him as one of the organizers of that to get the uniforms and the tiki torches and all that bullshit. Dystopian. Police AI launches in UK amid false arrests. Oh. The DOJ SPLC paid for wood and gas for KKK to burn crosses. These people, they're just nuts. And they claim, you know, anybody who wins an argument with the minority is a racist, right? So, here's one. Google plans to release 64 million genetically modified mosquitoes.
Yeah, I saw that.
I remember when Bill Gates did that shit, right? I remember when he did, and he in the mosquitoes, they put, what was it the first time around? They put HIV in them. And you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Why did you put HIV inside mosquitoes, right? And they were out in the wild. And then when they lost control of them, like who didn't see that coming? They made another batch of them. And to kill those, do you know what they used in that? The herpes simplex 1, I think it's called, virus. What's wrong with Bill Gates? Let me see. H1 booted. Yep, they were booted. God bless Donald Trump, right? They're pulling a 2020 Spencer Pratt. Yeah, California told you there's going to be a lot on this guy because there's different angles of what's going on. The results remain unsettled as Steve Hilton leads governor's race. Spencer Pratt holds edge in LA mayor contest. Now he's like down because who was it? There were people that came in probably out of state and just dropped all kinds of ballots for the communist woman. Women who dated the Democrat Graham Plattner with the Nazi tat describe unsettling behavior. Where do you hear this one? Right,
but he's denied it.
Yeah, oh, of course he has. But you know what? Yeah, we're supposed to believe all women, right?
Unless it's a Democrat.
Yeah. It's okay when we do it, right? But yeah. So this guy's a real scumbag if this stuff is true, and it probably is. You put a Nazi tattoo on you, it's probably true. American journalists plead guilty to acting as Chinese agent. There you go. Yeah, love America, right? Trump says they're rigging the election in California as counting continues. They found a lot of mail-in ballots last night. Right, he's talking about the dump that went on that knocked Spencer Pratt out. FBI launches most wanted fraudsters as massive tax fraud scheme exposed in Ohio. It's even in red states it's happening, but it's in blue counties in red states, so get it right. John Bolton pleads guilty to retaining classified info, but they gave him a plea deal. Yeah. So he doesn't do prison time. He may still do prison time.
Yeah, he's not going to prison.
He won't go to prison, but he's going to have a record.
Yeah, and he'll have to pay a whole bunch of money.
Over $2 million, I think $2.1 million he has to pay in a fine. Yeah. So he'll be going on CNN and MS, whatever they call themselves this week. Right. Zelensky pens a lengthy letter to Putin. Enough of war. I am proposing a meeting. Now, gosh, I wonder why that is. I wonder why that. Yeah, because we're not sending any more fucking money to them the way that Biden did. Don Lemon now faces federal charges for storming that church in Minnesota. Officials, when the Minnesota officials declined to prosecute at the state level. So now he's going to be reached by feds because he did violate federal law. Nice. The right has a terrifying new weapon. Beautiful women. That's a good video. A world without the UN is a better place. I would have put between there a much better place. The media wants you to know why men are walking away from liberal society because they got a brain. Here we go. Hunter. F that guy. The latest deep thoughts with Hunter Biden includes a serious swipe at Jake Tapper and LOL. The Democrats have a Joe Biden problem. You know what it is? He and Jill just won't go the F away.
That's the problem.
They keep wanting to get attention that nobody wants. Right? Breaking. Senate votes, get this, 48-50 to reject the Save America Act. 4 Republicans, and you know who they are, they joined the Democrats. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. We're going to lose our republic if we don't put that in because they're cheating left and right, the Dems. And you're just saying it. No, we've got proof. Not sending their best. Besant exposes Democrat Representative Chu's shocking ignorance. And it was shocking. What's wrong with the liberals? Democrats in New Jersey give a primary win to a candidate with ties to Al-Qaeda in a district that's final resting place for the man who said, let's roll on 9/11. Can you believe that? I do. Feds raid $35 million Southern Cal mansion of tech boss charged with sending secret shipments to Iranian military nuclear programs. What the hell? It's not racist to notice. I like this guy, Gil. It's not racist to notice reality. It's a good article, too. Trump admin goes over the Ayatollah's heads with new message to Iranians. And here we go. Clown show continues. Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene plot to take over the Republican Party. And yeah, okay.
Good luck with that.
Oh my. John Fetterman's challenge to Graham Plattner. I can't wait to see that. I didn't read it. The press treated 1976 like a birthday and 2026 like a crime scene. TDS. Tell me it doesn't exist. Of course it does. Paradise Lost. California's stunning scenery can't hide its comically broken elections. Candace Owens touts Russia's Christian heritage. Here's what she left out. Yeah, she's gone. She lost it. Governor Gavin Newsom, Senator Mark Warner, butthurt over SCOTUS upholding Alabama's congressional map. There is an Arizona story here. Watch these two guests on CNN absolutely cook the Dems over their support for Graham Plattner. I can't wait. And there he is, the man of the hour. The New York Times just dropped a bombshell report on Graham Plattner. An exclusive President Vucic, I guess, U.S. set to outpace China in Serbian investment. Post-Iran war economic boom could set stage for revival of Washington agreement on Kosovo. And that's it. Then we got the usual. We got the videos and we got the rest of them up there. So let's see. Who do we got? Anybody else? And, hey, what's up, Loafer? Good to see you. Let's see. What are we saying here? Hey, Chris. Hey, man. What's up, man? I just texted you, bro. It's been a hell of a week at work. I really didn't have time, man, to hit you up. I'm sorry. Text me back what time you're leaving tomorrow. Maybe we can hook up. For a sorted out goon. So let me see what else we got. Well, sir, just got through hopefully the last round. Oh yeah, God, how's that going, Commander? Yeah. Hey, take two drums. What's up, man? The Rhino Party. Yeah, it's Republican in name only. All right, let's do the first one. This one really pisses me off. The weapons obsessed killer jailed for student's murder. Let's see. Is this the video? Is this part of it? Yeah, distressing content. I don't know if I can show the actual stabbing. I'm not allowed to, even though we're trying to do it for. Yeah, I can't show it. Sorry, but we'll get pictures in. I can't show the video though. A weapons obsessed. Let me increase it. A weapons obsessed killer who stabbed a student to death has been jailed for life with a minimum of 21 years. I'm going to be honest, guys. I didn't think that would happen. With the way the cops treated him, he kept saying, "I've been stabbed and I can't breathe." Right? And it wasn't because he took a fentanyl overdose. All right. So Vikram Dickwad, 23, used a 8-inch blade he said he carried as part of his Sikh faith to Henry Novak. Yeah. Do they have a picture of the damn thing? The knife? Let me see. They have to have. Yeah, there it is. Okay, guys. Ready? Now, you guys from across the pond, you know this. That if you had something like this, or you had something even half the length of that, you have a chance of going to prison. But because your effed up globalist government bought it, hook, line, and sinker, well, we have to carry these around for our religion. Okay. I'd say, screw you. I got to carry a gun then for my religion, right? So this asshole was allowed to carry this around, and look what happened. I'm sorry. This whole story just burned me. The victim from Essex was handcuffed by police because these assholes, his mother was there, not the victim. I think a brother was there or a sister, and they called 999, right? Which guys is our 911. They called 999 and said, "Oh yeah, this guy," and they tried to say that he was racist to me, and it's like, so you get to stab him? Really? And then they dragged the poor kid, 18 years old. They cuff him. He's stabbed 4 times. They drag him along the gravel.
And like I don't know if he was already dead at the time.
No, he was pronounced dead at the hospital, but you could be right because maybe they just say it that way.
They say pronounce him dead at the hospital, but if you look at some of that, like they have to pick his hand up. He's not moving his hand.
You're right.
And I didn't see it, but someone told me there was a part where some female officer shined a light in his eyes and they didn't move.
Yeah, his pupils. I saw that.
So
yeah, he might have been dead there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was probably dead already. They're fucking cuffing a dead guy.
Yeah.
Because maybe he said a mean thing.
He was mean. He sent a mean tweet or something. I don't know. The victim from
mean thing.
Yeah. The victim from Essex was handcuffed by police as he lay dying at the scene after Dickwad lied, claiming he had been racially abused by the teen and had acted in self-defense. Right? Can you imagine? Tailhead, motherfucker. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine that's the excuse? And you know what? I thought he was going to get away with it because of the way the governments over there, all the governments over there are acting. With all the migrants coming in. So he told officers his turban had been knocked off and that he had been injured. Okay. Judge William Mousley, KC, told a packed Southampton Crown Court that Digwa had brought shame upon his family and his religion. You think this guy cares? Body cam footage released by Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary with the family's permission shows officers arriving at the scene and speaking with Dickwad and others. Novak, who is seen on the ground in the video, can be heard saying, "I've been stabbed. I can't breathe," multiple times. Guys, that just kills me. The footage shows officers turning Novak onto his side and handcuffing his hands behind his back. After a couple of minutes, Novak becomes unresponsive. An officer proceeds to tell him he is under arrest for assault. No handcuffs are on the scumbag Sikh, on Dickwad. The police then contact an ambulance to check on Novak. Temporary Deputy Chief Constable Robert France apologized and said officers had been lied to in a 999 call. They couldn't see it. The guy wasn't bleeding all over the place. A 911 call made by Digwa's brother and had faced an extremely complex crime scene. Yeah, okay.
No, they didn't. The
Yeah,
kid
I
was
know.
bleeding out rapidly.
He was bleeding out, and the other one's standing there crying the blues. He made fun of me. You know, come on.
He
He
said a mean thing to me.
Yeah, he was mean to me, and he made me feel like I was subhuman. Yeah, Mousley dismissed the racism claims made by Digwa, adding his actions had stirred up racial tension in Southampton and across the country, which had made many Sikhs worried about their safety. Don't you know? They never say, you know, when it's the other way around, making many white people worried about their safety. You never hear that shit, right? Even over there, you never hear it. You know, white people are worried, and you should be, those racist, you know, brown people. You never hear that kind of shit, right? You were sober, but were carrying a large Sikh dagger, Mousley said. He added Dickwad had murdered a much-loved young man, inflicting a lifetime of loss upon his family. Absolutely. Speaking outside court, the victim's father, Mark Novak, said the contrast between his son and Digwa had been treated was unbearable. Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody, said, calling it inhumane. Let's listen.
Henry did nothing wrong.
He didn't.
He was one of the kindest, friendliest, and most inclusive people you could ever
Is that the mother?
He was amazing in every way. Henry did not die with dignity. He did not die with the care he deserved. He lost consciousness before anyone believed him. Let me be absolutely clear. We hold Vikram Digwa solely and 100% responsible for the brutal murder of our son. But Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody. The way he was treated was inhumane and degrading.
Hey, Linda. What's up, Linda? I know this story just, it burns me up. Mark Novak added Digwa was afforded decency, and we understand he was never handcuffed at all. That's just, it's just a like here we had a 2-tier system, justice system under Biden. We had it under Obama as well, but Biden was like an Olympian in that shit compared to Obama. But it's just absolutely terrible. Perhaps the government nudge unit, yeah, unbelievable, man. I hate hearing stuff like that. Innocent guys like that just get whacked out by people who shouldn't even be there. You know, that just bothers me to no end. All right, let's do the next one. I got several other stories about this story because it's one of the themes tonight. That and the cheating going on in Cali. So here we go. Tulsi Gabbard, before she leaves, she's going to declassify the COVID cover-up. Oh, and I can't wait. That's where the reckoning comes. And they're going to go to court. You can't do that. Why? What are you afraid of? You said you did nothing wrong. You followed the science, right? And Havana syndrome documents. You know Havana syndrome? You know what that is, right, Doc?
Well, no, we don't know what it is. It's
yeah, it's they believe it was the sound wave system that caused them to people to get all.
Yeah, we don't know. That's been one suggestion that these diplomats in Havana, they all started complaining,
right?
And we don't know.
Well, they do know because they're going to declassify. We just will find out.
Well, okay. Well, let me back up. We don't know until now. We've all had our suspicions, but maybe in these files, there's going to be something more concrete that we find out exactly what it was.
Well, when I first heard this, the same symptoms, if you will, Some of them were the same in Venezuela when our guys took Maduro, when they used the sound machines, whatever the hell they are, right? Made their skin burn, made their brains like fuddled up, like they were burning. They fell down on the ground, couldn't think right, couldn't move. Kind of the same thing.
Well, the Havana syndrome was much more subtle.
Right, exactly. You're right. Because it was a communist country. They didn't have the greatest, equipment. No, I'm kidding. All right, so here we go. So, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is racing to declassify documents about the COVID-19 cover-up and the Havana syndrome before she leaves the administration at the end of the month. DNI Gabbard, quote, is actively working to declassify information about the COVID-19 pandemic and anomalous health incidents before June 30th. Havana syndrome, officially known as anomalous health incidents, AHIs, describe a cluster of symptoms first reported in 2016 by a CIA officer stationed in Havana, Cuba, and experienced by American diplomats, spies, and other officials abroad. Many of these officials describe a loud noise and intense pressure in their head and ears, followed by symptoms including severe headaches, brain fog, exactly what was going on to the guards outside that bunker that were waiting for Maduro. 5 agencies in the intelligence community assess that it is very unlikely to be caused by a foreign actor, according to declassified 2025 report. One agency assesses that it is likely that a foreign actor developed a novel weapon that causes some Havana syndrome symptoms, while another agency assesses a roughly 50-50 likelihood. The full scope of intelligence about the source of the COVID-19 virus has garnered intense speculation and public interest since 2020, of course. Whistleblower CIA James Erdman III testified to the Senate in May that some in the intelligence community had suppressed evidence of a lab accident in Wuhan, China. I don't think it was an accident. In 2023, Congress unanimously passed a law to declassify intelligence related to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the high security lab with ties to the Chinese military at the pandemic center. In response, President Joe Biden's intelligence chief, Avril Haines, released a brief summary report. Erdman said that he reviewed thousands of pages of material that Haines never released. Anthony Fuckface, whose institute at the National Institutes of Health directed money to the lab, right, through a third party, right, because he wanted to, he bypassed his own board that's supposed to approve that money, so he went through a third party, right, money to the lab to coronavirus engineering research, connected the intelligence community to preferred scientists in order to advance a theory that the virus naturally came from a bat market, a wet market with bats. Okay. Kiss my Irish ass. Yeah. Hey, Jimmy from Philly's in the house. What's up, brother? What's going on, Jim? He did a low dose of that. Yeah, it could have been. You're right. It could have been. Jade. Where did Dr. Jade go? Oh. We won't say anything. All right, gain of finances. Yeah, exactly. Gain of finances. Let's do the next one. New May jobs report. I just want to throw this in the libnut's face because look, he's losing jobs. Okay. So the new May jobs report, payrolls jump 172,000, unemployment steady. Okay. Jobs. The American economy and American politics are all about jobs. President Trump has made jobs for American. How many times are you going to say jobs? For American workers a priority in the second administration. And on the whole, he seems to be succeeding at that, even though the libnuts will talk. He's the most unpopular president of all time. Yeah, okay. He's losing jobs everywhere. Yeah, okay. All right, you keep believing that. Vote appropriately. The May jobs report is in, and overall, it's positive. The report reflects U.S. payrolls growing by 172,000 in May, more than expected, while unemployment remains steady. It's not bad at all. I'm not going to read all that crap. That's not rhetoric. Perhaps it's substantial. There are always some caveats, not the least of which is just where the job growth is found. The report came against a background of muted expectations as employers have held their ground in a low hire, low fire environment. While job gains have been largely concentrated in just a few sectors, layoffs have been moderate, though some signs are building that artificial intelligence is having an impact on labor roles. Well, that's good because under Biden's administration, well, first of all, they lied about over 800,000 jobs that they had. They got caught. Okay. Throughout the 4 years. Yeah. You guys lied about 800,000 jobs. And that's just one because they had to, they had to move it down, knock the numbers down every single time a jobs report came out.
That was just a little accounting oops.
Oh, yeah. It was an accounting thing. Oh, yeah. It was just
accounting oops. There's nothing to it.
It happens to everybody. It happens to me, Yeah. Now I'm my only employee, and it happens to me too. I just fuck up the math. Math is hard, but they just do it all the time. And
don't you misplace $1 million here, $1 million there?
I do. But then you remember Obama, he lowered his numbers right before the 2012, his reelection campaign. And he did it by using the U6, which is instead of the regular U2, I believe they use. The U6 is when you've been unemployed for 2 years and you can't find a job, they just throw you off the list. Add insult to injury, right? They just take you off the list. So when that happens, your list of unemployment goes real small. So he did that intentionally because he found out the big word going around was no president has been elected with 8% unemployment. He had 8.2, I think. And they lowered it down to 7.8 just in time.
Yeah, it's like how Gavin Newsom cuts crime figures.
Yeah, he doesn't report them.
You stop calling it a crime.
Yeah. They don't report them too.
Yeah.
The sectors, the sectors mentioned that saw most of the growth were leisure and hospitality, local government, and healthcare. Under Biden, I think it was like 92% of the jobs were taken by either illegal aliens or people that were here legally, but they weren't citizens. And they were mostly part-time jobs. And the press never reported them that way. With our aging population, healthcare is no surprise. With our aging population, that's going to be a growth field for years to come. Leisure and hospitality is a slight surprise, with high fuel costs starting to bite into the summer travel season. Yeah, hopefully we see the end of that real soon.
Yeah, that's going to be critical. If he can bring down
yeah, he has to.
Gas prices.
Well, how much you want to bet the Democrats contacted him and the globalists, in England, the government said, just hold out and we'll get rid of Trump because Americans don't like high gas. They'll vote his ass out. They'll give it to the Democrats in the midterms and they'll throw his bum ass out. Now, I am willing to bet money.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Eurotrash contacted them.
Oh, yeah. They did. So I'm going to play this one next. This is Benny. Oh, hold on. Louis, what's up, man? Beer and a for you. Thank you, brother. Thanks, man. How you doing, Lou? How's it going? I didn't see you there. Sorry. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Benny. Yeah, Benny. He shows you how the Democrats are cheating. All right, let's bring this up. Bring it here. Slide it back. There we go.
Yo, what's up, guys? We're outside of a very important place here in California. You'll see it's just home to a porta-john and a giant empty parking lot. But inside of this empty parking lot is something really important in the state of California. As you can see here, we have registered voters. 26 registered voters for this exact location, 100 Sunset Avenue in Venice. 26 registered voters. Right here, according to the registrar.
Imagine that.
And the Secretary of State. 26 people registered to a porta-john.
Now, guys, you go, so at 26, yeah, well, they've got thousands of locations that they could use where they do that. It's just known. Democrats do that.
Where do their ballots go exactly? So
I'll tell you what, man. In Philadelphia, I found out that there was a law, right, that was made by the city council and they said it was for the homeless people because they need an address in order to register, so that you could, if a homeowner gives you the right to use their address to register to vote, you can. Now, Dr. J, take a little guess. How many people do you think were allowed per home, like a 3-bedroom home, right?
I didn't think there was a limit on how many people.
Oh, there is a limit. Oh, yeah. So what do you think that number is in Philadelphia?
I didn't know there was a limit. Let's see, 3-bedroom home.
So it could comfortably sleep 6 people. Let's be honest. Okay, it could, right?
So that, given Democrat math, I'd say 28.
No, more like 50,000, and I'm not kidding. 50,000 people per
Well,
home.
That's almost what I originally said, because I didn't think there was a limit. So
Right.
I was-
50,000. Yeah, that's
almost
what I
right.
said. Yeah.
Almost right.
Yeah, it was 50,000 is what it was, and they were doing it. This is what they do. It's their spigot system. So they have people that all register at one, and then in Georgia we know that they all registered. Like they had, it was like I think it was like 100,000 people registered to vote using a post office box address. That's what they were
You're not
using.
allowed to do that. That's illegal.
Right, and they did it, and they voted. The people voted, and nothing was done. Nothing. Yeah. All right, let's go down. Let's keep going down. Spencer Pratt. This is freaking crazy. This is crazy, man. And Dems want you to believe it. It's like in Philadelphia, Mitt Romney got not a single vote in like, I think 24 precincts in all Philly. So here we go. So we got Spencer Pratt got 0 votes out of 24,000 votes in a late night LA drop last night. 0 of 24,000. A guy getting around 30% support got 0 out of 24,000 ballots that they found. Astronomically small probability of happening. It's impossible. California no longer even hides it. Doors need to be kicked in. And right here, the vote total was 308,878. Spencer Pratt had 86,323. The ballot drop happened. Now the total vote is 333,712, and Spencer Pratt has 86,323. It's impossible. Yet that's what happened.
Well, no, it sounds reasonable to me. You know, those late mail-in ballots are
I know, by
overwhelmingly
the thousands. Yeah. So, I mean, they want you to believe, like, oh, you're an idiot. You can't prove anything. Yeah, I think we just did. It's impossible math to say that a guy like Spencer Pratt, and you know what it is? Like I said earlier, Spencer Pratt is the only one in the entire race that is not talking bullshit. Right? They're all throwing out talking points, party talking points. He's not. Okay. For the longest time, I didn't even know what party he was from because I didn't listen to that. I didn't care. I was listening to him, and he made a hell of a lot of sense on what he wants to do to fix all the problems that Californians have in LA. And I was hoping he would win. He would do it. And then some other cities would get the idea, because there's got to be Democrats out there that are like him. We just don't hear from them. But, the second dancer theory, right? You heard of that, right?
Second dancer?
The second dancer theory is when you go to a dance, right? And nobody's dancing. It was when you were younger, right? And you go to a dance and nobody's dancing. Then the one guy gets out there and starts dancing, acting like an idiot, a fool, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, one guy's out there. But the minute another person or couple goes out, the second person in, now it's a legitimate reason to get out and dance because it's on them, not you. And that's just a human thing. Well, it's the same thing with a lot of other things. So if you have Spencer Pratt and he got elected and he started really fixing all these things, then that in today's climate could spark some other Spencer Pratts in other blue cities and say, I want to fix this shithole the same way he fixed that shithole. Now, he wouldn't have anybody's support inside the shithole itself. So maybe he'd have to fire a lot of people to get it done. Who knows? But he was already talking to the feds about getting grant money to get the freaking homeless off of people's front doors, right? Where you got their human feces and needles, all kinds of other drugs going on, their tents right outside your house. Come on. People follow the first follower. Yeah, but I always call it the second man in. I couldn't find any Latinx. Yeah, and you know what? The Dems started calling them Latinx, right? Latinx. And they never asked for that. They're so out of touch. Like the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. There you go. Let me see. Any cases against the California vote fraud will grab a lack of standing charge. Yeah, that's what they did in 2020. all lack of standing. He was the president of the United States, and he said that he's got questions about the election. Oh, you have no standing. How could he have no standing?
I mean, but we all know the Dems are going to get on top of this and make sure that the Republicans.
Yeah, we hope they are. Oh,
Yeah.
crap. I got to go. Sorry, guys. I got to go grab water. I'll be right back. Let me see. How do I do this? I may have to come back in because the last time I did this.
Okay, we're all alone. I was just going to say, what has a Democrat ever fixed other than a problem that they created initially? Go ahead, comment. I can't think of anything. The Democrats are good at screwing things up. Oh, they're good at fixing elections, I guess.
All right, I'm back. I got my waters. Sorry, I usually set this up before, and I can't believe they probably left them upstairs.
So I was asking a question.
Heard you.
What have Democrats ever fixed? What problem has Democrats ever fixed that they didn't cause themselves?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. You're exactly right. They're famous for causing problems, and then when enough people complain about it, they stand up and say, "You know what? I'm sick of this too, and we're going to fix it." So they say that they're the only ones who can fix it, even though they caused it. They're crazy. They're freaking crazy. You see, water. That's a Philly boy. Water. It's water. Water. Yeah, it's water. My friend Pam always said water, and we used to always have arguments about that. Water, 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 water. Because everybody else says water. I say water. I say, you don't say, give me a quarter, right? Give me a quarter with some water. All right, enough of that silliness. So let's see. Yeah, Trump just got the last laugh on immigration. Let's do that one. There we go. From Town Hall. Trump just got the last laugh on immigration. There we go. The reconciliation bill to fund ICE and Customs and Border Protection is now headed to the House after most Senate Republicans passed the proposal on Thursday night, and it ultimately accomplished funding through 2029 for the agencies and sidelined Democrats' immigration enforcement demands. In other words, they said no, right? They can't wear masks. What is wrong with these people, right? Many Democrats were calling for the use of judicial warrants. You don't have to. That's true. Do you know that, Jay?
Yeah.
They don't have to issue a warrant. That's the law. It's been the law. Obama's people didn't issue warrants. Biden's didn't. Yeah, I don't even think W's did.
Did they call it something different, like a standing warrant or something?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. And they don't have to bring it with them. They don't have to. But so that's another one of the. That's another one. You know, like these people, these fucking leftists. What they do is they put things like that out, like, oh, they don't even bring warrants, and then people go, damn, they're supposed to bring a warrant, right? No, you're not. Not for that. You're not.
Yeah, I guess they work under. I forget the exact name. It's something like standing warrant, and basically. Yeah, it's a warrant without anything on it. You can basically do what you need to do in the furtherance of your duties.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
If it's under if it's in your job description.
Yep. Let me see.
Okay, so what else? Did we finish this one?
Yeah, no, we're going down. Sorry, I got distracted. Many Democrats are calling for the judicial warrants in the immigration-related arrests, as opposed to administrative ones, as well as an end to masked agents and roving patrols. Republicans opted to pursue reconciliation to fund the immigration enforcement agencies to get DHS reopened after a lengthy shutdown, the Schumer shutdown of the department, as reconciliation allows for only 51 votes for Senate passage, right? And it has to be about money, as opposed to the standard 60-vote threshold. Democrats side with the legals, quote, Democrats side with the legals over American citizens every chance they get. And guys, this isn't hyperbole. They do. We've seen it. They flew down to freaking El Salvador to bring back an illegal alien. I mean, think about it, guys. They'll do anything to get on TV.
They finally did that. They finally got that guy released. Isn't he back in Maryland?
He's now a Maryland man again. That's how they remember. That's how they report him. Yeah. A Maryland man was arrested.
I think he's a Maryland man again.
Yeah, I think he is. Can you believe this shit? But thanks to reconciliation, we didn't need their votes or have to accept their radical demands that would have tied the hands of federal law enforcement, said Jim Banks. Jim Banks is a good guy, too, from Indiana. Now, ICE and CBP have the funding they need to keep the border secure and continue mass deportations through the end of President Trump's term, unless Democrats get in and fuck everything up, right? A significant portion of funding for Trump's immigration goals was already obtained through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act last July. But other DHS agencies like FEMA were hung out to dry. Well, you know why? Because in the North Carolina, things like this, in the North Carolina hurricane that just like wiped out whole towns, they literally were told, and they did it. They ignored houses that had Trump signs on the front lawn. They ignored them. What the hell? You know, and they did it. They actually did not help them. So they were hung out to dry when DHS shutdown ran from February through April. They were like, why are we going to do? Why would we put up with agents who just did that? They should have all been fired. Meanwhile, the reconciliation bill was expected to close other immigration-specific funding gaps that were not covered when DHS reopened in April. Former acting ICE director John Fahey explained to Town Hall on Friday morning that the movement on reconciliation showed that Democrats gave up the game on this thing with their list of demands, because when there were situations where the Republicans were willing to concede or give them some of the things they wanted, they rejected that in favor of just shutting down the agency. Because you know why? Because Republicans were always a bunch of pussies in the past. And they said, we're going to shut the government down. They would literally cry and wet themselves if they got blamed for a government shutdown. Then people started reminding them, hey, asshole, like I think it's like 72% of the federal workforce are considered like, what's the word? They're considered necessary.
Essential.
Essential. Thank you. That's the word. They're considered essential. And the people that didn't work, they always get back pay. So where's the shutdown? You know, unless you're Barack Obama, when you say, yeah, make it hurt. He told the people that were in charge of who had to be furloughed, make it hurt. So they shut the parks down and stuff like that. The Democrats are just whores. They're just political whores. Democrats don't care about ICE and ICE operations, he added. They just want to stop ICE from doing what they are required to do, which is deport illegal aliens. Fahey explained that some of the Democrats' wishes, like judicial warrants, were some of the problematic points for potential compromise. As probably most people know, you can't get a judicial warrant from these ICE arrests. They're issued out of the executive branch because the immigration judges are not part of the judiciary. A lot of people on the left don't know that because they're morons. And they're in the executive branch. In fact, again, Barack Obama, he ordered his immigration judges to not give out bench warrants when they didn't show up for their deportation hearing. So in other words, he gave them a de facto amnesty when you think about it. So it didn't even mechanically make any sense. Fahey said, calling it an unworkable part of the party's demands. I don't want to hear about Chuck U. Schumer. Screw him. He lost. Ha ha ha. Huzzah, right? Let me see. Yeah, water. You shush, woman. Let's see. What do we got? If I become president, I am nominating Sir Jimmy from Philly Wiped to the office of Jimmy Gratian with his assistant director, Tom Homan's Homan Rights Council. That's funny as shit. I love that. Nod you, Philadelphia. No, did you? You see, come here. I'm just here, just not talking. I'm more of a lurker. She's lurking, guys. I'm good. I hope you are too. There you go. Things are looking up. Yeah. Let me see. If anyone can navigate the medical center, it's you. Yeah, exactly. Born to suffer. I will. Oh, wow. Let me close a couple things. What do we got here? Oh, I can't do that one. All right, so let's see. Something. Erupting. Yeah, here we go. Mass calls to the Supreme Court to handle the California thing. So it was mass calls are erupting for the Supreme Court to step in and end the madness. California is undergoing another mail-in ballot scandal because it's built into their laws. Nearly 2,000 drop boxes statewide, and Democrats let ballots come in super late. Plenty of time for fraud. That's what they did the last time. They shut down the counting because they wanted you to believe everybody went home, but only the Republicans went home. And they stayed around and they continued feeding phony ballots, counting them twice. We saw them all on film, for God's sake. Right? You got 23 million registered voters, and everyone gets a mail-in ballot as of 2021. So in other words, you can vote multiple times. And what if your neighbor died? You can take their ballot and vote too. You think they don't do that? Because out in Cali, other than our friend here, Bobbity, they vote for more money. They vote for more handouts is what they're doing. And that's the way, quote, and that's the way they've been doing it in California. Now you got, well, he's probably going to say it here. Let's listen to the man.
Well, what Hilton is talking about is the way California has changed its election laws as of today, right? You got 58 counties, you got 1,700 drop boxes, you got 23 million registered voters, and everyone gets a mail ballot as of 2021. And that's the way they've been doing it in California. Now you got to match the signatures.
Look at that. Look at the
red.
red.
It's an extraordinary amount of time. Nonetheless, 56% of the vote is still out. That dropped a little bit from yesterday. We'll explain that in a moment here. Hilton in the lead, Becerra second, and Tom Stock.
Let's say this. Xavier Becerra is an imbecile. He's not bright at all. I've said it.
Third, it's my sense that all three of them moved up slightly overnight, maybe about two tenths of a point for all three of them.
Look at this.
Meanwhile, in the mayor's race, here's
Karen Bass. Yeah, she's really ahead.
You've got almost 40% of the outstanding votes still out there. And Pratt
now this Nithya Raman, after that drop, she's ahead of Spencer Pratt now.
Second place, holding his own. Nithya Raman now is in third place. Some of our
they cheated just to get him out.
From overnight, or the late vote that's coming in, tends toward the Democrat. So that would favor Raman and would hurt Pratt if that trend were to continue. But where does it go? Karl Rove is with me now to talk about.
I don't want to listen to Karl Rove. Douchebag.
The Karl Rove?
Karl Rove, yeah. They call him the architect. Yeah, okay. Karen Bass is a shithead. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I'm here today to accept the nomination. I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in nomination of me. All right, what's next? Yeah, San Francisco under siege. Did you hear about this, Bobbity? Let's see. Great night. Good food. Rock and roll. Rich left before the 90s grunge band came on stage. Yeah, I had to get home. All right, here we go. It was a good night, though. I had fun. San Francisco under siege by Honduran gangs. I heard nothing about this till now. How many times have you watched or read a story about countries in Central and South America struggling with cartel violence, gang-controlled neighborhoods, and drug traffickers operating with zero regard? A lot. Countless even. Nah. Of course, most Americans can't imagine seeing this type of lawlessness here at home. Never in the U.S., right? Try that in a small town, I say. Well, never say never, because according to a new investigation from Christopher Rufo, that's exactly what's happening in parts of San Francisco, where foreign drug gangs from Honduras have taken control of entire parts of the city and turned one of America's most famous cities into an open-air drug bazaar. And the scariest part is that this didn't happen overnight. So why did it happen? Well, for starters, because left-wing politicians made a series of very deliberate choices, embraced soft-on-crime policies because they want the votes, and looked the other way while the problem grew bigger and bigger. That's what they did. Christopher Rufo recently revealed what he found. Honduran drug gangs have taken over the streets of San Francisco. We spent 3 nights documenting the Hondos. Does that come with a steering wheel? Who have cornered the market on fentanyl and meth. and who will slash you with a machete if you oppose them. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Here we go. There's no video. Come on. He took a screenshot with a video. Look at this. Look at this crap. That's just unreal. That's a terrifying discovery. But Rufo's investigative reporting reveals that this isn't just about drugs and foreign gangs. This is more about what happens when left-wing governments surrender control of their streets to criminals, both foreign and domestic. His story starts with a scene that sounds like something out of a scary movie. It's 3 a.m. in San Francisco's Tenderloin district. That's a rough district. And an all-night drug-fueled party has been raging for hours. The sidewalks are littered with trash and human feces. Addicts huddle in the alleyways, inhaling fentanyl fumes through plastic straws. Others are slumped over, barely conscious. Makeshift homeless encampments line block after block. Dealers are everywhere. On the street corners, groups of men dressed in dark hoodies and face masks. They're not supposed to wear masks. Face masks sell drugs. These are the Hondos, migrants from Honduras, who have taken over the San Francisco drug trade. Night after night, they turned the Tenderloin into a lucrative open-air drug market. For this City Journal investigation, we spent 3 days and nights in the Tenderloin talking to addicts, journalists, cops, and the dealers themselves. We discovered that the city's progressive policies have allowed foreign drug gangs to take over an entire neighborhood in downtown San Francisco, poisoning the down and out and bringing third world conditions to one of America's wealthiest cities. In the Tenderloin, the Hondos rule. Imagine showing that paragraph to someone 20 years ago and telling them it was downtown San Francisco. They'd never believe you. But thanks to soft on crime Dems, this is now the reality in the city by the bay. And you know, all these libnuts on Facebook that are posting all these memes and bitching about Republicans, they don't even mention shit like this because they don't know. Because it's only places like Revolver, right, and Breitbart, you know, that are reporting this stuff. Their news couldn't care less because they want that kind of craziness, that kind of chaos. They think somehow it'll benefit them. I don't know how, but that's what they think.
Yeah, you think it doesn't matter about the far left because they're going to vote Democrat anyway. It's independents we have to reach.
You're right, Louis. It's just like Kensington, Philadelphia. They cleaned up that park, but now they moved over to somewhere else. Jimmy, would you know where they moved? Because he keeps up on that. He watches the videos of the guys. Let's see what is next. Let's do a video. Let's see if we got one. Interrupts Joe Lyman, Dems, climate messaging help. Midterms. Yeah, I'll play this one. Hold on. This pisses me off. I said it before. To no end that this shit happened. There's this asshole. 21 years he got. You should let his family have him for 5 minutes. They say he was a good kid. Yeah, there you go. That's the knife. I'll say it again. If any of you guys or me carried a knife even half that size, you could be in prison over there. But this asshole gets to carry it because he says it's for his religion. Well, you guys got to create a religion that says, I have to carry a pistol around for my religion, and you can't violate that, right? You should do that. Just try and do it. See what happens, you know? But
somebody said earlier something about, well, I'm Christian. I should carry a sword for my religion.
Yeah.
Today, Henry was believed. The truth has been recognized.
Yeah, we'll watch it again. Does this bother?
In the eyes of the law has been served. But justice alone is not enough.
Right. It's not.
We want to use Henry's heartbreaking story to make change for the better.
Yeah, kick them all out.
We don't want his death to be used to create further division, hatred, or tension. We want his story to make our streets safer for everyone. That is why we are calling on the government to treat knife crime as the national emergency that it is. We need real solutions. We need investment in prevention. We need stronger action on the sale, the ownership, and carrying of all knives. And as this case so painfully demonstrates, we need common sense applied to our laws. Yeah.
Unreal. Stop sharing. There we go. Let's go. Here's another one. Jesus Christ. This is the Bidens. They got a Biden problem, the Dems.
Yeah, why are they still around?
Here you go. Joe Biden interrupts Joe Biden's book event with an agonizingly awkward interaction. Wait till you see this. It's like, how is he able to walk? The moment appears to be unplanned and dragged on uncomfortably. Audience members were thrilled and confused by President Joe Biden interrupting his wife at a publicity event for her memoir. Jill Biden was being interviewed by Whoopi Goldberg about View from the East Wing on Tuesday when the former president shuffled out of his seat. When he always walks, he looks like he's a drunk old man looking for the bathroom, doesn't he? Let's be honest. Here we go.
As Dr. Jill Biden continues to rewrite history on her book tour across the country, she sat down with Whoopi Goldberg in New York City last night. But the interview was interrupted when a doddering elderly man in the audience, who someone forgot to check in on, approached the stage.
Oh, Joe has a question. Like you couldn't ask it later?
Who do you love most in the whole world?
Oh, good Lord.
Whoopi.
Can you believe this?
I thought he was going to ask, where's my applesauce? That's right. Joe Biden took the chance to make an already awkward situation even more cringy by actually hijacking the book event. And I will say, I'm a fan of subtitles in movies and TV shows. I think they were a necessity to watch that clip because I could barely understand anything he's saying.
Yeah, that's enough. We don't have to watch anymore. So they're doing everything and anything they can in order to stay in the limelight somehow. Does Biden wear diapers? Well, it depends. That's good. Yeah, he shit his pants again. He probably did. You know, Bongino, who, you know, I believe him when he said this. He said that he got reports from some friends that he still knows in the Secret Service that said that they used to have, like the Secret Service complained because they were ordered to keep extra clothing for him when he shit himself. And that they had to help clean it up. They're like, that's not my job. I'm not doing that. Cleaning up him shitting himself is not part of protecting him. No, I'm not doing it. So they had to bring people in to help do it because he did it a lot, they said. We heard about it like one time, you know, and he farted and he sharted. He thought, you know, no, he used to shit himself all the time. Yeah, our hero, right? Well, they knife all the time. Yeah, well, guess what? Over there, you'd be arrested. Let me see. It makes me sick to think of the police liaison. Yeah. What's this? Joe Biden needs another Easter bunny to save him. Yeah, exactly. Or bring back Georgia Maloney to walk him off stage properly. Right? Let me see. Where were we down below? Yeah, here we go. It's another good one. It's like Trump does things and they don't even realize why he's doing it. And then they learn. Butthurt elites snarl over falling home prices thanks to H-1B and illegals getting booted. It's like, oh, no. So the elites over at Bloomberg just accidentally spilled the beans. Americans have been staring down some pretty gnarly home prices lately. The left has been trying to tell us this is some kind of amazing housing boom happening, but we know better. These soaring housing and rental prices are a direct result of Biden's mass invasion and the out-of-control work visas that were being handed out like Halloween candy. The housing market just kept getting tighter thanks to illegals and visa holders scooping up homes. As a result, prices skyrocketed. But the global elites want us to accept all of this as the new normal. Young families priced out of homes, first-time buyers crushed by bidding wars, and working Americans unable to find an affordable rental. But we're seeing it doesn't have to be this way. Thanks to President Trump's mass deportations and cracking down on H-1B visas, people that overstay. All right, the housing market is finally showing signs of stabilizing. And the political elites over at Bloomberg aren't too happy about it. Andy Colvett. This is amazing. Bloomberg just published an article lamenting the H-1B crackdown on Indian workers in Texas because home prices are dropping dramatically. The same article claims it's racist to scale back the number of H-1Bs and states as gospel truth that home prices going down will harm the local economy. Are you kidding me? Articles like this fail to explain how masses of Indian immigrants have pushed home prices out of reach for many native-born Americans in the first place, or how they've culturally transformed huge swaths of Texas. We just got some new neighbors that are Indians. Not that it matters. Prices coming down from less immigration is a very good thing that should be celebrated. It also proves that the Trump administration's entire promise, unchecked, runaway invasion levels of immigration, legal and illegal, has fueled the affordability crisis. Right? They're all blaming Trump for things being out of whack. Right? Yeah, like everything was roses. Right? You know, rainbows and ice cream under Biden. Right? And so now he's finally getting things under control, but it took a year. Right? Let's see. H-1B crackdown, Indian workers. Yeah. We don't need to read this anymore. We all know.
Yeah, it's only ice cream for Joe.
Right. Exactly. All right. What's next? Let's do another. How's everybody doing? Let me see. What do we got here?
I think the only couple that has worn out their welcome longer is the Clintons.
Yeah. Well, Bill, he looks like he died, doesn't he? I mean, he looks bad. He looks really bad.
He's looking bad.
Yeah.
Then again, if you had to live with Hillary for that long.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Here's a cool story about the Marines. Ready? 4 armed teens try to carjack a Marine veteran. It doesn't end well for them. I can show this video. So here we go. Can we get in there?
The confrontation was caught on camera. It is our big story tonight here at 10 o'clock. Shamari Stone's live at Oxon Hill tonight with our top story.
Well, tonight, the 4 suspects are in jail, and this former Marine says that he is fortunate to be alive. Now, people in this Oxon Hill community says that they picked the wrong person to allegedly try and rob. Now, during the struggle, the shot was fired, and I want to bring you a little closer here on Fox 5. We bring you closer to the scene. You can look right here. This is the bullet hole where that bullet went right through here. Why is this significant? Because this Marine veteran has children. A child could have been sitting right here in the back seat. That video could have traveled, hitting the child. And plus, he has his 4-legged friend right here. And this is Sky. Sky, as you can see right here, is usually sitting in the back seat right over here. So he's happy that Sky, his children, his brother, Marine veteran are all okay. Now let's show you that surveillance video.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Surveillance video showing Jaco Borda working on his pickup truck near Oxon Hill High School Wednesday around 4:45 in the evening. Now take a look at the 4 teens walking near him on the sidewalk, one wearing a backpack and 3 others all dressed in hooded sweatshirts. He says they demand his car keys, phone, and other valuables. The teen dressed in red, white, and blue pulls out a gun and points it directly at Borda's head, with the other 3 suspects surrounding them. The teen becomes distracted, and in a split second, Borda fights back to disarm the teen. Borda's brother runs up to help, and listen, the gun fires during the struggle. Fortunately, no one is shot, the bullet hitting Borda's truck, and then one of the suspects tries to jump in, but Borda's brother turns
threw him
around,
down like a
fighting
rag
back,
doll.
grabbing that teen, and they hold the suspects down until Prince George's County police arrive. Meanwhile, you can see Sky, their dog, checking on his owners to make sure they're okay. Officers arrested all 4 suspects. You're now going to hear from Jaco Borda. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling grateful. I'm still here, safe with my family.
And how were you able to disarm the teens? Tell us about that.
It took me just 1 split second. We went to training for the Marines, and that came right on the moment.
What should happen to these suspects, and do you hold their parents accountable?
I hold the parents accountable because they're still minors, but I do count. They should be more accountable for it because, I mean, they did it. Right. They knew whatever they're doing.
That's the dog.
And now looking at a live picture here, Mr. Borda says it's going to take some time to fix the truck. It's going to
section, but
cost
it's
around
cool.
$2,000 because he says the car insurance company will not cover it. As for Sky, well, he's again happy that Sky is okay. Now, if you have any information, additional information about what happened out here, call the Prince George's County Police Department. In Oxon Hill, I'm Shamari Stone.
Yeah.
Good for
Gotta
him.
love it.
Good for him.
Gotta love it. Yeah. Yeah. Nice to have brothers. Exactly. Well done. Yeah, exactly. 40. FAFO, man. Pupper. Yeah. Make adolescence great again. That's awesome, man. Teens. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You know, they say that, they say that they want to take us on, that they could take us. And, they're the ones who have a panic attack when you misuse somebody's pronouns,
Yeah, I know.
They're going to take us on in a fight.
Yeah. I like how the Marine had a gun pointed at him. He's like, what's this little pea shooter? Get out of here. Love it. Love it. Love it. So let's see. Hakeem Jeffries. Poor Hakeem. Poor Hakeem. His own party. There's more people saying we're not going to elect you as the leader if we win. So Hakeem Jeffries does not want to talk about Florida's Democrat civil war that's going on, right? What a loser. All right. Representative Hakeem Jeffries faces a tough situation in Florida. A fierce civil war is emerging in the Sunshine State as the new maps have set Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz on a collision course with Democrats from a predominantly black district. She is running to take the seat, upsetting local community leaders who believe a person of color should represent it. Now, guys, is that not racist or what? Only a black person can represent black constituents. Is that not racist? Come on. Thus far, he doesn't want to weigh in at all. So Jeffries won't say if he's backing Wasserman Schultz. Quote, I haven't made a decision. Is he going to say it? Because I want to hear the dumbass talk. No, he isn't. Okay. So he said, I haven't made a decision as it relates to that particular race. I think we all recognize the sensitivities of the moment in terms of an unprecedented Jim Crow-like assault on black political representation. He's talking about the Calais case, right? We talked about this. Or it's a Louisiana v. Calais, where the Supreme Court threw out the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that basically the Democrats whined and cried in 1986 to the court saying, there's just too many white people in my district and I have voter dilution, right? And so, they fell for it and the court ruled, but they abused it because you can gerrymander for political reasons, right? But you can't for racial reasons because that goes against the same Voting Rights Act that they abused, and misused in order to create all these racist gerrymandered districts. So here we go. Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader, said Tuesday he has not yet decided. Yada, yada, yada. Why it matters. Jeffries is known for uniformly backing even his most polarizing members. This rare deviation stunned some of his colleagues because Debbie Wasserman Schultz used to be the chairwoman of the DNC. That's why. He's never done, and plus she said, Joe, right? He's never done that. One senior House Democrat told Axios he supports incumbents. Jeffries himself declared Tuesday in response to a different question, I stand behind every single House Democratic incumbent. Wasserman Schultz, a member of Jeffries' leadership team, has stoked the anger of black Democrats by running in a plurality black district. What's going on, guys, is Florida did their redistricting. Democrats lost some seats. Debbie Wasserman Schultz district was given the axe, right? So she's trying to now squeeze out a win in the next district. I don't think it's right. I don't agree with it, but you know what? Let them fight over it.
The rules are great when they favor us, and then when I need to come around and take power, all of those rules and the DEI and the consideration and all the victim points. Well, I'm still going to take power.
Remember the story we did last week where the Democrats and the New York Times, they bitched because they were, or no, it was the WAPO. They were doing an investigation on the color blue that Trump chose for the Lincoln Memorial for the water. Well, right here,
please.
Lefty bitterly admits President Trump's reflecting pool looks good. It figures, right? God. Let me see. Commander, able to solve your own problem. Yeah. Yep. Raised on water and neglect. Not a complaint. Just saying. Yeah. Let me get rid of that. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. All right. We got one here. Let's go. There's another video. A Muslim preacher spreads a dangerous. All right, here we go.
Huh?
What happened?
Don't knock me off.
Yeah, so what happened?
Where's he gone? He was saying I deserve to get raped for my shorts.
Okay, let's clarify for a second. An Islamic preacher in the UK wishes British women would be harassing men for wearing shorts. Okay, this guy is preaching Islam, and he said to this female, and I repeat,
what happened?
Huh?
What happened?
Don't knock me off.
Yeah, so what happened?
Where's he gone? He was saying I deserve to get raped for my shorts.
Why would he even say that?
Did you hear me saying it?
But they claim you said
hear
it.
me saying it?
But they claim you said
But
it.
you are accusing me of it.
I'm not accusing
because
you.
You agree. You say, why would I say that? That's an agreement.
Yeah,
you
so
agree
so
with it.
no, I'm
That's
asking.
the type of society we are living.
okay, let's
See
watch
what he's doing.
exactly what this guy manages to come up with as his excuse and probably figure out how to blame literally everybody except for himself for the things that we all kind of know he probably did said. I can't even tell you how mad I am about this video.
No,
You
I
agree with it.
no, I asked
Because
you a question.
come to me, so why do you say that?
Yeah, so now,
Yes,
so
that
now,
means
so
you
now,
agree
no,
with what
now,
they say.
now you explain to me.
No, you agree with what they are
I
saying.
didn't agree with her.
You are not.
I would just say, why didn't you answer the question? Why didn't you just say, I never said it? Because he hasn't said that
A
yet.
judge. So you have
Now that I hear his accent, I can tell you 1000% of this man was not born in the UK, which brings us to the problem in and of itself. Why would you import people with this ideology? Why?
Right,
Why?
right.
Why?
you
Money,
haven't even
that's
reached
why.
the age of even having the ability to know what is right and wrong.
Nah,
They claim
I
if you were to
promise
come
you-
to me,
I promise you I know what's right and what's
hello,
wrong.
you don't.
Yeah.
If you were to come to me and say, oh, they say this is what they say, is that true? I would have answered you. They say, why would I say that? That's
Yeah,
an
'cause
accusation.
I wanna know your
You've
part of the
already
story.
no, you didn't want to know.
Nah,
You accused me already.
now I
So
wanna
there's
know.
nothing to talk with you.
Oh, I heard it still. So what are you guys gonna do about this?
He's not
Huh?
Why is this stand still up if he's sat here harassing little girls?
What? I'm not even talking to you. Calm down.
Look, there's no way to know exactly what actually happened if these girls just decided to make it up because they were bored, but it seems to me like a little bit of an off thing. And I can tell you that he looked extremely defensive because instead of saying, no, I don't want, why would you say that? I'm here and peaceful. He's like, you are accusing me. And we all know that when somebody's in the wrong, they tend to get very angry when they get accused of it.
That's
Just
right.
get a little bit mad. When these two innocent girls are walking,
I love this girl.
they don't look particularly attention seeking. They don't look like they're trying to go viral. They just seem to be like, he just said that to us. And that's really, really not okay.
Right.
And again, for those of you who aren't familiar, this is becoming a norm more and more and more everywhere in the UK that people, not only people, that females are experiencing harassment everywhere they go.
Well, weren't they the ones that if a girl was wearing like a mini skirt, they would throw acid in her face? Wasn't that going on for a while, guys?
That's Pakistan.
But the Pakistanis that went to London,
Yeah,
they were throwing acid in the women's faces. That's what I heard.
Were they still doing it in London?
I don't know about now, guys. Can you help me out? Did they do that? Because that's what I read. Oh, you're being asked. Do you have a moment today?
Unfortunately, no.
No, you didn't find
I've
one.
been trying to come up with some good things, but
There you go, girl. That's funny.
but I will prevail. I will come back.
Basically, raise myself hell. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, Londonistan. Yeah, unbelievable. It used to be the factory for white people. Now, no. Cultural exchange. So-called cultural exchanges. Yeah, here we go. Our PSA were soldiers finding bombs, weapons, or people phoning the police about who shot who. Wow. Here's one. Nancy Pelosi. She says, "Get away from me." This woman this reporter. She's like an independent reporter. Wait do you see? It's awesome. So it's get away from me. Pelosi loses on a reporter asking J6 questions because this woman just wants her to finally answer. Like when she asked her, like, why did you turn down the 10,000 troops on J6? I did not. Everybody knows she did, and she admitted it. Just watch. This is awesome. We don't even need to play this. Ready?
Hi, Congresswoman Pelosi. Last time I asked you about January 6th, why you turned the National Guard away on January 6th, you told me to shut up and that I was repeating Republican talk.
To shut up again because you're speaking lies. And I don't have
You're right
anything
here.
to do
You're
with
right
it.
here on record saying,
no,
I'll
shut up.
admit it.
No, I did not admit it.
You
the
did
president
too.
Never sent would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time.
She
or
did
mine
say it.
on you.
Why was your daughter filming you on January 6th?
Why don't you get away?
Get away.
These are just questions the American people want answers to.
No, you know what? I don't even think you're a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man.
Actually, I do, and we're very
That
proud.
is- don't consider that.
Where's Mike
journalism.
Lindell?
Mike the Pillow Man. That's not journalism. I don't have any reason to talk to you.
He'd love to give you a free
I want you to
pillow.
record this.
Give
I
you
want
a
people
free
to
pillow.
know that you're not a real journalist. You work for Mike the Pillow Man, and all you do is spout untruths.
Okay.
Get away
You
from
can
me.
insult me all you
Get
want, but
away from me.
Thank you guys.
thank you,
Look at
Congresswoman. We'll give you my pillow so you can have a nice sleep tonight, okay? Take care.
Then she walks away with the legs. Gotta love that.
That's a set of legs.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you. I know.
That's legs.
Yeah, it's not why I played it, guys, but that was a good video. Yeah.
But that's
Ever notice that Nancy Pelosi's face skin is retracting into her eye sockets? Well, I thought she's getting those face things until like her eyes meet, you know. But sorry, look at the high res pics. Yeah, you can stomach it. Nancy Pillows. Who's the pillow? Mike Lindell. Yeah. Most honor killings are carried out on a man by the victim's brothers, but they only record female victims. Wow. Yeah, it was. Okay. So here we go. The get away from me girl. Yeah. So, and she's hit her up like several times, asking her, like, what's up? You know? So ballots all in California, exclusive inside facility. Yeah, here's one. Look at this. Watch this. So exclusive. Inside LA County election vote counting facility with rows of empty desks, despite $336 million budget. So there's nobody counting, which is why it takes 3 weeks, right? As the vote count totals crawl across Los Angeles and California, the California Post visited the county's 144,000 square foot ballot processing facility Thursday, which showed dozens of empty works. They were out to lunch, right? The scene at the warehouse appeared at odds with the mounting pressure to process hundreds of thousands of remaining ballots. Look, it's not about having to count the ballots that takes so long. It's waiting to see how many ballots your Democrat needs to win to beat the Republican who really won. That's what it's about. That's why it takes so long. The scene at the warehouse appeared at odds with the mounting pressure to process hundreds of thousands of remaining ballots. County officials announced Wednesday night that just 77,521 additional ballots had been processed since June 2 election night, but an estimated 713,000 ballots are still outstanding. They're just outstanding, right? During the post visit, large sections of the facility appeared lightly staffed. Rows of workstations sat empty because they're lying to you. That's why. They're all lying. What's this? Leave my desks alone. Yeah. Forgot. I like him, but his voice is annoying as fuck. Who are we talking about? Oh, Mike Lindell. Yeah. I read his book, man. It's a good book if you can read it. Go get it. It's a good book. Talks about how he got high everywhere. He was in Tijuana and he knew he shouldn't have gone, but he had to get some coke. So he did. And these guys, like these gang members, were about to kill him. And so he starts yelling at the one, right? And a car came down the street and hit something that landed on those guys. So he's like, so he walked away. He was about to be killed, but he still went back for drugs until he found Christ. And that cleaned him up. 42, crikey, never thought about that part. Yeah. The eyeballs at the center of the pic. Yeah. All right, so let's go back. Let's see, SPLC. Yeah, these pricks. This is unbelievable. They call everybody a racist, and yet they're paying racists. So the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, charged with offering would-be Klan members and neo-Nazi defectors salaries to stay in, spy on hate groups. Can you imagine this? Guys that like said, you know what, I was young and stupid. I don't feel like doing this shit anymore, right? A superseding indictment of SPLC, which charges SPLC with 11 counts of wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering, shed light on how it paid individuals seeking to escape from extremist groups to instead stay and inform on the groups. More than 2 decades ago, the leader of the National Socialist Party of America, it's always the socialists, decided he wanted out of the white nationalist movement. The leader approached the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has positioned itself as the nation's preeminent watchdog of hate, and yet they're haters themselves, and for helping people get out of such groups. The individual was out of money and no longer wanted to be a part of the movement. But instead of helping the individual break free, the SPLC had something else in mind. The organization allegedly offered him a monthly salary funneled through a fictitious entity to maintain the extremist organization. According to a superseding indictment of SPLC handed down by a grand jury in Alabama this week. Let's see, 11 counts of wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Wow. And this is not the only time SPLC allegedly encouraged members of violent extremist organizations. Exactly. They did it a lot, as a matter of fact, ostensibly to provide intelligence to the organization. But you know what? When you have a paid informant, what do you do with that info? You go to the freaking police. You go, hey, we got this information. Here it is. It's on video. Go ahead. Go get them. They never did that. So what the hell were they doing? Right? They're full of shit. They wanted to pay these people to have their stupid hate rallies, pass out their pamphlets of their militia or whatever the hell they do, right? And then they claim, oh, look at this. We found this. They did this, this, and this. So aren't we great? Send us money and donations, right? The details.
It's like the fireman arsonist.
Yeah, exactly. The details contained in the revamped indictment, which charges SPLC with 11 counts of wire fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, shed further light on how the SPLC was playing a secret double game, allegedly manufacturing the very extremism it claimed to be fighting to keep its fundraising machine humming. Good Lord. So in other words, these assholes, they were earning a living off of racism and hate that they were paying for. The SPLC was first indicted by a grand jury in April. We did that story. According to federal prosecutors, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million from 2014 to 2023 to individuals associated with the violent extremist groups, including the Aryan Nations, the KKK, and the National Socialist Party of America. The superseding indictment alleges, by the way, all those groups are left-wingers, just so you know. They always call them, oh, they're alt-right. It has nothing to do with conservative. The alt-right, supposedly alt-right. They're all left-wing socialists, every one of them. The superseding indictment alleges the organization actually paid out $4.1 million. We don't need to know anymore about these pricks. We just don't. Let's see. They're still allowed a tranny fluid. Asking for a friend. Who was? Let's see. Would you call a NASCAR driver a racist? Asking for a friend. Okay. Yeah, this is funny. It's like they have the left-wing FBI agents. They need mental therapy when they have to cope with Kash Patel. Look at this. No. Right. So one of the strangest stories slithering out of the swamp isn't coming from Congress, the White House, or any of the campaign trails you might expect. This bizarre story centers around the left-wing anti-Trump FBI officials who were fired under Kash Patel, now launching a goofy support network for agents who are rattled by the FBI overhaul. In other words, Dan Bongino came in for a year, and his job was literally to root out the bad agents from the agency, the ones that if they were asked to do, lawfare or whatever, they would go, oh yeah, sure, as long as it's against a Republican. So they all got fired, and now they're all upset that they lost their pensions and whatnot. It includes legal help, job search services, mental health resources, the whole shebang. It's pretty ironic that the guys who helped unleash weaponized justice and lawfare on innocent Americans now need a self-help group after they got fired for being unprofessional, politically biased stormtroopers. It says it all right there. It's no secret that the FBI became one of the most weaponized institutions in the country. Whether it was the Russia hoax, the J6 scandal, school board controversies, or the laundry list of political bias, millions of Americans lost trust in the Bureau. Now, many of the agents responsible for the downfall of the FBI are describing an agency in crisis as Kash Patel works to reshape the Bureau and bring back respectability. Needless to say, the American people aren't buying sympathy cards or fruit baskets. Who would give a fruit basket for anything? These butthurt former FBI officials now claim the new Bureau under Kash is so toxic and tense with that current agents need a dedicated support network. No, you know why? Because they don't want to be outed and lose their job. That's what it is. There's no being upset if they want you to just do your job and arrest bad guys, right? There's an incredible amount of tension inside the agency right now, said Michael Mason, a former senior executive at the Bureau. We want our colleagues who are still in the service in the FBI to know there are people out there who recognize what is happening. Jesus Christ. People who are being fired without any due process as the Justice Department is being weaponized in a way that is totally unfair. How about her to those of us who served long and distinguished careers there? All right. Wow. Really, guys? That's funny. Conservatives have been screaming from the rooftops about weaponization for years now. They were laughed off and told they were imagining things. You conspiracy nut, right? Now the fired FBI officials are using the exact same messaging, only this time they're saying the reforms inside have been weaponized against them. Well, yes, because they should be, because you guys are scumbags. You abused, you weaponized the FBI. Well, if you're not doing your job properly, getting fired should be the next logical step. But now these fired agents are organizing to provide support to their comrades on the inside, who they say are under attack. Quote, it's time for that. No, I won't do that. It's time for those of us who served our country with the FBI to offer our assistance to the special agents, intelligence analysts, and the professional staff who are under attack, Mr. Driscoll said in a video announcing the new group. Those facing these unprecedented times are not alone. We will stand with you as you weaponize the Bureau and throw lawfare at Republicans, especially Trump. Well, again, they should be under a microscope if they're still politicized and using their power to target Americans who don't vote the right way. It's unbelievable. These assholes created a banana republic type FBI, and now they're bitching because they took that away from them. It's what's happening. And in what some are calling a jaw-dropping plot twist, these agents are now claiming the Bureau has suddenly become politicized. Really? They took the politics. They took the politics out of it. Somebody should ask Tina Peters, Douglas Mackey, President Trump, Steve Bannon, and J6 defendants how they feel about FBI politicization. Good. Screw them. I hope they all eventually get fired
Peter
and
Navarro.
lose their pensions. What's that?
Peter Navarro. Add that name to the
list. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All those FBI. Yeah, arrest them. Yeah, and then deport them to Venezuela. Where's the right guy? Well, you know what? The Ray guy, Chris Ray, they're actually looking at going to a court and saying President Auto Pen should not have been able to give out pardons through an auto pen. It was because his brains weren't there and he wasn't reading all the pardon requests. So they're trying to get them thrown out. They actually are working on that to get them thrown out so that the DOJ can go after them for the crimes that they did commit. President Trump should nominate Tina Peters, the FBI director. Well, make it deputy FBI director. Yeah. Because I like Kash. I like what he's doing. Okay. Dystopian police. Yeah, this is it right here. So let's see. It's dystopian police. AI launches in UK amid false arrests. Wow. Stand against censorship and surveillance. Join Reclaim the Net. I like this. If everything that they tried to silence you or just the shit that's going on with websites and ISPs and whatnot. Reclaim the Net is fighting that stuff. So a new UK, let me increase it somewhat. A new UK national center launches within days, promising to find suspects in minutes, except it costs 115 million pounds or 155 million dollars, and occasionally arrests the wrong person. Police, AI. Police.ai, the body charged with pushing dystopian artificial intelligence across all 43 forces in England and Wales, comes with a seductive sales pitch from its frontman. Catch your suspect in minutes. Turn a weeks-long manhunt into a coffee break. Wow. Alex Murray, National Crime Agency Director and the National Police Chiefs Council's first AI lead, wants facial recognition to do exactly that. The catch, and it's a fairly significant one, is that the technology keeps flagging innocent people. Murray's whole pitch is speed. What took days, weeks, sometimes months can potentially take hours, he said, describing AI tools. And yeah, put this AI police on getting rid of all your illegals or all your migrants, right? That could take days instead of weeks.
Hey, listen, the mayors are canceling the budget for the traffic cameras because they're worried they're going to
actually catch people,
actually identify illegal aliens.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to point to a Bedfordshire fraud case where the software chewed through Romanian language phone data from 4 suspects and produced guilty pleas. Notice the shape of the pattern, though. It is always a list of what the police get to do. The part where the rest of us get scanned, sorted, and occasionally pulled off the street tends to fall off the slide. The 115 million pound funded by the Home Office buys a central body that decides which AI products and 43 forces are allowed to buy, replacing the free-for-all where every force shopped on its own. The NPCC says the technology should do more than 6 million hours of work a year, supposedly the equivalent of freeing up 3,000 officers. Murray said the launch marks a decisive step against rising demand and digital crime, and that the world is changing fast and the police must change fast too, and that the public asked for it. The public have told us they would expect the police to use AI. Businesses use AI, and we know criminals are adopting it as we speak, making the launch of police.ai both timely and necessary. You know it's going to be abused. You just know it. The star of the show is retrospective facial recognition. Police take a face off a CCTV still, a doorbell camera, or a phone, then run it against roughly 19 million custody photos, around 25,000 times a month. The official line is that the match is only a lead, never proof, and that a human officer always makes the final call. That's meant to be the comforting thought. But meet Alvi Chowdhury, a 26-year-old software engineer who in January was at his home in Southampton when Thames Valley Police arrived, handcuffed him, and held him for nearly 10 hours before releasing him at 2 a.m. The machine had matched his face to 3,000-pound burglary in Milton Keynes, a city he had never visited 100 miles away. The actual suspect, Chowdhury said, looked about 10 years younger, with lighter skin, a bigger nose, smaller lips, and no facial hair. A different person in every respect except the broad category of having a face. Quote, I just assumed that the investigative officer saw that I was a brown person with curly hair and decided to arrest me. Chowdhury, already in the system after a separate wrongful arrest in 2021, is now suing. Wow. So it's even screwed that up with AI. Let's see this. Here's another one. Here's a good one. I like this guy, by the way. It does every video like this. There we go.
To Sam's Club today. I don't generally go to Sam's Club. Different story. I went to Sam's Club today, and this lady asked me to look at a price for some tissue or something like that. She couldn't see, I'm a little linky ting, so I looked up. I gave her the price of the toilet paper. And I guess that little interaction, she enjoyed it. And she asked me, like, to come to her church. And in that moment, I didn't know what to say. But I felt something, like I felt away. So I asked her, like, okay, well, like, what's the name of the church? I'll look it up. She was like, yeah, we have services on Sundays, on Fridays, on Wednesdays, on Saturdays. I'm like, okay, I'll look it up. I think it pains me to know that there are so many people who don't understand how much harm is in the church house. I think it truly bothers me how many people are so unaware, like either willfully ignorant or just ignorant of the impact of how y'all have been perpetuating these Eurocentric interpretations of this theology. And
There
y'all
we
know
go.
me at Chaplain of Culture. Like, y'all know I went to Yale. I got my master's in divinity. Y'all know I'm online deconstructing harmful theology. Y'all know that. But in Sam's Club, I was a civilian. Nobody knows none of that. And I'm not going to like wag my finger at this lady because she doesn't know and she's older. But I did realize something. I realized that you can't just be inviting people to church, not without caveats.
What? So wait a minute. Let me just get this straight before we even start to get into this whole deconstructing Christianity, because I find it very ironic that a person can go to Yale, which that doesn't mean anything to a person that's called, but neither here nor there, that a person can go to a school in order to understand Christianity or Jesus, let's just say Jesus, and they get their degree in divinity, and now they're sitting there telling you that it's a problem for somebody to invite you in a church. So it's okay to invite you to dinner. It's okay to invite you to get graduation. It's okay to invite you to the club. It's okay to invite you to another city. It's okay to invite you to breakfast, brunch. It's okay to invite you to a lot of places, but it's problematic to invite you to
a church
without caveats.
That's just crazy.
Well, it's a little personal. He was making some comparisons. It's like, if I don't know you and we meet in a grocery store, I don't expect you to invite me to your home. That would be weird.
Yeah, but they probably had like a moment, like the way they were talking, and they got along really well. And so the woman was like, she was an elderly woman apparently, and she said, "I'd like to bring you to my church," because that's what elderly women do.
Yeah, and that's true. And
it was a nice. She could have said, "Oh, I already have a church. No thanks." But
on the receiving end, I would think just that's a little personal for just meeting somebody, but I would not be offended. It's
right.
I would not be offended in any way. I would maybe think it was being a little personal.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. It is personal.
It's a little bit personal.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's silly to get offended at something like that. Now, I'm assuming the older woman wasn't like aggressive or doing anything silly, just said, "Oh, would you like to come to my church?"
Right. Yeah, I got one here. And our UK friends, you're probably going to know this is real. So here you go.
I got mugged for my phone whilst I was 8 months pregnant. Walking along on a Sunday morning, I'd just been and bought some croissants. 8 months pregnant. I'm talking
Australian?
huge. This guy on a bike came up behind me into the path and took the phone out of my hand, but I held on to the phone. My instinct was to like hold on to the phone. So I was like this, and he was like pulling it away, but on an electric bike. And he pulled me off the curb, tripped up the speed bump, and fell flat on my 8 month pregnant stomach. Honestly, the feeling haunts me. I can still feel the bounce, like a space hopper ball. It was like boom. And I could feel like all the liquid inside. Oh my God. It's like so PTSD. The guy didn't get my phone either. It bounced on the floor and he didn't get it. And I shouted at him whilst I was laying down in the middle of the road, I'm 8 months pregnant, you idiot. I had the dog with me. All these people like ran to me. I said to them, can someone take my dog so I can go to the hospital? It's one thing like them stealing phones. It's another thing they could have absolutely ruined my life.
Right.
Not about their phone being stolen. It's about the complications around that. Like, you have stolen a phone from an 8 months pregnant woman and made her fall over.
Right.
It's just like, what is the world coming to? Off the road, I called a taxi. I went straight to the nearest hospital, and annoyingly, they kept me waiting at the hospital. How bad is that?
Yeah.
But I got in there. I was full of cuts and bruises. To them, I've just been mugged. I've come straight here. And can you please check for my baby's heartbeat? They were so relaxed about it. They were just like eating their lunch rather than helping me. They made me sit and wait for half an hour.
Wow.
I just can't believe that happened. I wasn't even in like the normal A&E. I went to like the birth A&E. Kept me waiting. Honestly, the shock. Doppler on, and luckily felt the heartbeat, but they kept me on a monitor for like maybe 2 hours, which was really good, just to get a good reading of like the baby and what was going on, because I was so worried. And I know a baby's very well protected in it. I then reported it to the police, and the police were really amazing. They even managed to trace the camera footage. They saw the whole incident. They called me like 20 times. They even tried to trace the guy back to where he originally got on his bike.
How about that?
But they didn't find it. But that guy could have absolutely ruined my life.
Oh, yeah. You know that. Now, guys, do me a favor. Tell me, was that an Australian accent I heard? I think it was, but I don't know. So, Linda, was she Australian? Evening mucker.
Yeah, people have no respect or consideration. It doesn't occur to them.
Right. Oh, I know.
There's only one side of the equation. You know, it's like I think you did this story once where somebody was asking these foreign nationals about to go to school to become neurosurgeons.
Yeah.
And was asking them about, you know, if they sexually assault women, aren't they, you know, aren't they worried about that? And he said, well, we worried we could get an STD. Oh yeah, we worried that, you know, maybe she'll shout and draw attention.
Right. Exactly.
No. What about worrying about her? What do you mean? What do you mean? You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull this one up. Here's one. Promethean Action. These gals are great. Let me refresh it.
Look at the appearances yesterday before the Crown Show hearings, which are occurring in each of the various committees about the budget. You'll see that right now, Trump already knows the game, that it's just set up. He doesn't care. He's going to try and actually get a huge mandate, just like you're seeing in California, for his policies in the election. And that mandate, in turn, is going to shock these people into reality. Now, how did he respond to them saying, we're not going to pass the Save America Act. We don't like what you're doing. We don't like what you're doing it. You're not following the rules. Cut it out.
These ladies are very pro-Trump.
How did he respond to that? Well, he said, okay, here's Bill Pulte. He's going to be the acting director of national intelligence, which has them completely in a conniption fit. Why? Because Pulte is like a bull in a china shop. Yeah. And my friend, the NSA veteran, Kirk Wiebe, once told me, I asked him the question, how would you go about reforming the deep state? What would you do? And he said, first, you need someone with a chainsaw, a weed whacker, who's willing to go in there and just tear everything down.
Yep.
And then you need somebody from the intelligence community who actually knows how to direct the weed whacker to where he's got to go.
Right.
So Tulsi Gabbard did that in the first term. Pulte is basically capable of doing that. He's got Tulsi Gabbard's chief assistant, Aaron Lucas, who is the deputy DNI under Tulsi, to show him exactly where to go. And people like Mark Warner, the senator who was probably most responsible for Russiagate, is completely flipping out. He says, this guy's going to have access to every classified secret in the United States.
Yeah.
What does that mean? In his interview with Miranda Devine yesterday, Trump hinted at it. He kept coming back over and over again to the rigging of the 2020 election. And my bet is the way he's seeing Pulte is this is the guy who can prevent the fraud coming up in the midterms by actually being completely on top of it and singularly focused on it. So that has Washington in an uproar. That's the dynamic, folks. Trump doesn't care anymore about the stupid Congress.
Right.
He's out to completely overturn their paradigm, how they've worked, everything that stands in official Washington. You see that in everything he's doing in Washington. He's rebuilding the place. He stopped the crime. He cleaned up the reflecting pool, which was a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And he's trying to genuinely make it the capital of the Renaissance United States. Look.
Exactly. They're pissed at him because he's getting things done. I never get lost. People are always telling me where to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're pissed off at him because they all like the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, because they got their little fiefdoms in there of how they make money off of it.
Yeah. And they get all the constituents voting for them. It's like, how dare you? My congressman could only buy one Ferrari this year.
Yeah. Ha. Exactly.
Yeah, I just don't see how people can, and they're apparently willing to overlook this in Grant Plattner, and it's been what now 11 years that they've been calling Trump Hitler and MAGA Nazis.
Yep.
And their attitude with that is, oh, we called you a Nazi, therefore the argument's over. We won.
Yeah.
We won, and you can't vote for him because he's Hitler, so you can't vote for him.
Yeah.
And yet this guy is an actual Nazi.
Yeah.
Nazi sympathizer.
Right.
And an avowed communist and misogynist.
Oh, yeah. And they're
abuser.
going to every language. It's because they don't give a shit.
And then he comes out and he's on TV. Even Sonny Hostin on that great show, Five Harpies and a Table.
Yeah.
She comes out and said, "Well, yeah, we know he's racist against blacks and others, and he's transphobic and homophobic. But I'd hold my nose and vote for him anyway because it's too important."
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Appreciate it.
Yeah, these people are just weird.
Here we go. Google, of all things. Why not? Because Microsoft already did it. Well, Gates did. Google plans to release 64 million genetically modified mosquitoes. What? Are they AI mosquitoes? Who the hell knows? So Google-backed Verily plans federal approval to release 32 million Wolbachia, whatever, infected male mosquitoes annually in California and Florida for 2 years, totaling 64 million to suppress disease-carrying populations. Okay. Mosquitoes carry Wolbachia, bacteria-infected males mate with wild females. They're just wild, right? Wild females causing eggs to fail to develop and hatch, gradually reducing these populations over generations without biting humans. Targets disease vectors. How can you be so sure you're going to release these freaking things out in the public, right? I mean, Bill Gates did it. Yeah, and he used HIV virus in the first batch that they sent out. And they're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Right. And then when it got out of control, because it always gets out of control, it's a horror movie, right? So then they created a second batch to attack and kill those. And in that one, they used HSV1, herpes simplex virus. number one, which I think is the oral one. All right. So they use that in mosquitoes to kill the mosquitoes with HIV. These people are freaking nuts, and they're software people. What do they know about? Like, why are they doing this? All right, target disease vectors. The invasive AIDS spread like Zika, dengue. I caught dengue. I went down to Florida. I caught it down there. It's called break bone fever. Feels like your bones are all breaking, but at least I'm immune to it now. And yellow fever, roughly 40% of the world population at risk from these viruses. Public outrage erupts. Is this the whole story? No. Public outrage erupts. Critics call it one of the largest open-air biological experiments in U.S. history, questioning Google tech company motives and warning against messing with nature balance. Elected officials criticized. Tennessee Republican Representative Tim Burchett questioned why a technology company is involved and listed past invasive species disaster like kudzu and Asian carp. Now, what the Trump administration should be able to step in and go, whoa, assholes, what are you doing? Stop it. No, you're not allowed. This American-born doctor's video warning is bone-chilling. It reveals COVID lies, why some are viewing Bill Gates' recent catastrophic contagion event as a harbinger of the new pandemic. But ultimately, it reveals how the next pandemic is already here, estimated to kill 600,000 mostly older Americans in 2026. Yeah, we can't watch that because we will get in trouble.
Yeah, I guess one of the hardest parts of this whole project is separating the male mosquitoes from the female mosquitoes.
Yeah, well, they're all males, and they said that they were males, and they wanted to mate.
Right,
with
wild. but they have to get those males. They have to separate from the females when they hatch. Now they got to get a batch of males, and to separate the males from the females is a very difficult process.
Well, not if the females are ugly.
Apparently, they're using AI and developing some machine that can separate them. Because if you contaminate the pool that you're releasing with females,
Transquito.
they bite and they could transmit more disease by accident. Right. So, and yeah, I mean, theory's great, and I always suggest we pursue these great theories and new inventions and treatments, but you have to be careful because we've had some unintended.
Bill Gates? I don't.
We've had some unintended consequences where we've released invasive species.
Yep.
And I mean, take a look in Florida, the ball pythons. We didn't like specifically release them, but they were brought in mostly illegally as pets, and then they got a little too big, and people just put them out in the Everglades.
Right.
Now they're a major problem.
Yep.
The lionfish was sold to people in aquariums.
Right.
Got too big, started eating the other fish. They just went and poured it in the ocean. Now Florida's got a problem with lionfish.
Wow.
So you got to be a little careful. And, you know, I think it's great, these great ideas. Sometimes you come across a really good thing. But, yeah.
The male is the noisy one. The females are silent. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, but only the females bite. That's the big thing.
Yeah, we're going to do this now. Women who dated Democrat Graham Plattner describe unsettling behavior. So several women who previously dated Graham Plattner have described unsettling and controversial behavior by the Democrat looking to unseat Susan Collins. The New York Times profiled several women who shared a romantic past with Plattner, further piling on to the controversies that have plagued the candidate since discussions about his Nazi tattoo. He's still going to win because the fucking Democrats will vote for him. They'll vote for him. They're all Nazis themselves. Yeah, Nazis for left-wing socialists.
Susan Collins may still win.
I hope she does in this case, because I don't want to see him in there, right? In one interview, conservative commentator Lindsay Fifield, I never heard of her, who dated Plattner between 2013 and 2015, said that he would often be rough with her while discussing violence, clarifying that he never physically assaulted her. He said this a lot. If anybody ever broke in here, I would rape them. Fifield told the outlet. She also alleged that Plattner once handled an argument between them by twisting her arm behind her back, shoved her into, but he never laid a hand on her, never hurt her. All right, shoved her hand behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom and held the door closed from the other side so she couldn't get out, telling her to remain there until she was calm. But didn't she just say, clarifying that he never physically assaulted her? But he did. All right. Regarding his Nazi tattoo, Fifield also expressed doubt as to Plattner's claims of being ignorant of its meaning, saying that he would sometimes describe it as my Totenkopf. Jewish Insider previously reported that a former acquaintance described him as using that term. While the Plattner campaign did not deny making those remarks to Fifield, it strongly disputed accusations of physical intimidation. Okay. At least two other women who dated Plattner said that he would engage in patterns of heavy drinking and womanizing. Maine Democrat Jenny Raciot, whatever, for instance, described his behavior as reckless and unsettling during their relationship between 2019 and 2021. So she stayed with him for 2 years. Couldn't have been that bad. The New York Times did, however, interview other women who described more positive experiences with Plattner during their relationship with him. In a statement, Plattner said that he had too often self-medicated with alcohol and was far from a perfect boyfriend during a very dark period of my life. Right?
You probably should block that out, by the way.
Why?
Our YouTube overlords probably don't like that.
Don't like what? Self-medicated with alcohol?
No, the salute.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I take responsibility for but it's within character. He has a Nazi tattoo on him, and they're probably going to elect him. I take responsibility for all of that and wish I had been better. He told you. Of course he does, because he wants your vote. Any characterization beyond that is false. He only tried to cover it up when he was running, right? Any characterization beyond that is false, and I believe politically motivated. I'm not proud of who I was then, but I'm proud of the work I've done since and the movement we are building in Maine. Yeah, okay. Bite me. Bite me.
Yeah, he's only sorry because he got caught.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. There's one. The about face on climate change, because everybody knows it's bullshit. There we go. Lyman, Dems do an about face on climate change because they know how toxic the narrative is.
And isn't it so coincidental that now all these leftist activists are saying, maybe we got it wrong for the past 50 years, just as Politico reports that Democrats are actually backing off of the climate change narrative because it's so politically toxic and detrimental to their midterm chances. And it's amazing that Americans were told you had to give up your gas-powered car, your gas-powered leaf blower, your gas-powered boiler in order to save the climate. And all we got in exchange for that were higher energy prices. Look in New Jersey. You saw disinvestment in places like Pennsylvania. And then meanwhile, you have China responsible for a third of the world's global emissions. They're not changing any of their patterns.
Right.
Nothing we do here was going to make a difference unless China and India stepped up. And Democrats knew that themselves, but you know why they kept pushing the narrative? They wanted to line the coffers of their friends. Remember, the Inflation Reduction Act was going to fight the inflation that they created?
Yep.
And it said it was a climate change, kerfuffle.
Remember that what was that company called, Jade, that Obama put in? Solyndra? Yeah, it was Solyndra. And the whole thing was fake. They got nothing done, but they got billions of dollars.
Right? Then you also have the fact that they just wanted to see how much bigger they can expand the government. How far can they push that envelope to control your lives? And now they're doing an about face because people are saying, you know what? I can't pay an extra $500 a month for energy prices. Democrats are just worried about the midterms on this one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
they'll be right back charging us.
There was an ad where somebody was saying the Earth hasn't been this warm for 65 million years. So my question is, were the dinosaurs driving SUVs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where
What was going on with that?
What were they driving?
Yeah, were
Can be
the
replaced with
dinosaurs
AI.
driving SUVs?
Government can be replaced with AI built from a coconut and 3 sticks of bubblegum. Hey, if the professor on Gilligan's Island could do that, I'm sure our government could too. India's really bad. You ever see that river where you can walk across it? So much pollution in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they clean it up with shovels.
Yeah, they do. Most wanted fraudsters. Yeah. Here we go. Our friend here, our hero of the rhinos. John Bolton pleads guilty to retaining classified information. He pled guilty because he wanted to avoid prison time, but he could still get it. So former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who is a total prick, is expected to plead guilty in federal court to 1 count of retaining classified information under an agreement with the Department of Justice that could, keyword, could allow him to avoid prison time. The plea deal would resolve a criminal case filed last October that accused Bolton, and he went on TV, he just hates my guts. There's nothing to this, and now he's pleading guilty, right? The plea deal would resolve a criminal case filed last October that accused Bolton of mishandling classified material related to his time in government service. Yeah, he kept a bunch of shit because he wanted to give it copies of it to his publisher for a book he was doing. So he handed out classified information to a publishing firm. Unbelievable. According to reports, Bolton will face a $2.25 million fine as part of the agreement, while any potential prison sentence would be capped at 5 years. Do the whole 5 years. Although the agreement permits the possibility of avoiding incarceration, the final sentence will be determined by a federal judge. Get the right federal judge. So the case has been developing since August of last year when FBI agents executed search warrants at Bolton's home and office in Maryland. Federal prosecutors initially charged Bolton with 18 counts involving the retention or dissemination of classified information. The charges included allegations that Bolton improperly retained diary-style notes containing sensitive information from his time in government and shared portions of those materials with family members while preparing his memoir. Bolton was originally charged with 8 counts of transmitting national defense information and 10 counts of retaining national defense information. Guys, anybody else would have been in prison except Hillary and John Bolton. According to prosecutors, the case centers on notes that Bolton kept during his government service and later shared while working on a book about his time in the Trump administration. Let's see.
Okay, I was just thinking there's about as much chance of him going to jail as Hillary.
Yeah, I know.
Breaking news, sources revealing that John Bolton is planning to plead guilty to retaining classified information. That plea will likely keep him out of prison. This stems from a charge, 18 of them at the end of last year, of keeping a diary-like material of classified information. So it looks like that case is moving forward, and all likelihood is now settled.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. There you go. All right. All right. Let me see. Oh, geez, that was loud. All right, let's go. Oh, here we go. Zelensky in the news again. So here you go. Ready? Zelensky pens a lengthy letter to Putin. Enough of war. I am proposing a meeting. Now, let me ask our smart crowd here in the chat. Why do you think Zelensky is doing that now? Of Colonel Sanders and the bizarre Earth. Why do you think? I think it's because he's not getting any more money from us. Because, I mean, think about it. Trump's not sending him money. Trump tried to end the war, and he said, fuck you, because he listened to the Democrats, because they wanted money. It was their, yeah, he has lost. Exactly. I remember when we had knuckleheads saying, well, Ukraine is beating Russia. I'm like, no, at no time was Ukraine beating Russia. in that war. At no time.
Okay, Rich, correct me here though. I've been hearing that the Ukrainian forces have been doing pretty well striking back at Russia.
Yeah, but they've never been
Recently.
beating Russia.
Yeah, but there's no way they would ever have beaten Russia.
Right.
That's not going to happen. That wouldn't ever have.
They were
happened.
never ahead in the war, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but they've been doing pretty well with the drones and whatnot.
Yeah, cage match. He's right there. Cage match. Get the little guy against Putin. Well, Putin's not that tall either. Zelensky is a money laundering human. Yeah, that's exactly right. Full contact rap poetry. Yeah, I left 40 stream early last week because my son had a fight that was being televised. It was a pay-per-view. It was 3 rounds, 1 minute each. He won. He beat the guy all 3 rounds. Yeah, it was pretty good. So I think he's going to get back into it. He was doing MMA fighting for a while down in Florida, but now he's out of Ohio. So they just do boxing up there tonight, where he's at. Zelensky, what is this? Zelensky played the role of president on Ukraine. Yeah, and he also was dressed in women's nylons and dancing around. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Ukraine ran out of ammo after 3 days. Yeah, exactly. Filthy wretchedness on climate catastrophe, pollution juggernaut. Not to mention, yeah, exactly. Even Eric Burdon is taller than. Yeah, I know he's a little punk. So let's see. On Thursday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky proposed a face-to-face meeting with Vladimir Putin in a rare open letter sent to the Russian leader. They said Ukraine is also ready for a full ceasefire. Quote, Ukraine proposes ending this war through direct engagement between us. Do you know, during the Biden administration, what's his name? Putin sent a message to Zelensky and said, I'm willing to end the war now if you write in government document that Ukraine will never ask to join NATO. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And so he went to all the offices that he's supposed to get such a thing written up. And he called all the news and said, yeah, we're going to end the war. And he was heading to the signing ceremony. And Antony Blinken called him on the phone and said, you can't do that. He's like, what do you mean I can't? I could end the war. You no, you can't. Because they were Biden's bitch, the Ukrainian people, right? Because all the money they were throwing at him so that it could be laundered back to fund the Democrats. That literally happened with that guy, whatever his name was. He did the crypto guy that got caught. What the hell was the name of his crypto agency? I forget. But he was like, no, you have to say that one of the conditions is Putin has to step down out of power, knowing that Putin never would. That was over 2 years ago or 3 years ago that the war could have ended, but it didn't because the Biden administration didn't want it to end. So he said, the choice is yours now, enough of war, and then spells out that Ukraine proposes to end this war. Quote, this must be done honestly, with dignity, and with guarantees that the war will not be reignited, Zelensky added. And then interestingly, we see that the United States is fully focused on the issue with Iran. And it would be wrong to simply wait until the war in Europe returns to the center of its attention. The new letter was issued just Europe's most influential powers of Germany, France, and the United Kingdom are trying to again jumpstart Ukraine war peace talks, collectively operating as the E3 group. They seek to implement a new framework aimed at engaging Russian President Putin in direct negotiations to end the war. Reuters on Wednesday reports that, quote, a window for dialogue is slowly opening between Russia and Europe on Ukraine, although it is likely to be months before talks can begin, a German government official. Now this asshole came to the White House when Trump tried to cut a deal himself. And apparently Vladimir said, I'm listening, right, to Trump. He said, in other words, he was going to watch what happened with Zelensky, and we all saw it. And apparently it was also reported that an hour before Zelensky went to the White House, he met with top leaders of the Democratic frickin' party. So they're the ones that said, no, don't reach a deal. You want more money. Because if you reach a deal with Trump, you get no more money. And then we expose you for all the shit you did for us. Whatever. Unreal. It seems this window of opportunity is based to some degree on perceptions that the war tide and momentum is finally shifting in Ukraine's favor, given the increasing effectiveness of Ukraine's devastating cross-border drone attacks of late. European leaders apparently view the current battlefield and political dynamics as having strengthened Kiev's bargaining position, creating what they believe is an optimal moment to press Moscow for talks. It seems that Zelensky agrees and believes that it's time to get back to the negotiating table. Putin on sidelines on the ongoing St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, we can control whole Donbass region and strike a deal. Right, the Donbass region, there were two reasons, but they literally, the people that live there, they wrote to Putin and said, we want you to represent us. We want to be Russian. He went, okay. And ever since then, Petrov, whatever his name is, Poroshenski, it started with him. He started killing like 10,000 people in that region a year, because they were turning against Ukraine. And then Zelensky did the same thing, started killing people like in that region who were trying to keep the Ukrainian government out. So I mean, all horseshit. I don't even think Ukraine was actually a real country. Putin also said Thursday that his view is there's no need to stop fighting in order to start talks. We don't have to stop fighting in order to have talks. Are you kidding me? I've got all these bombs I've got to get rid of and expel. Below is Zelensky's full newly published letter. I'm not going to read it because who cares, right? So what's this? Kiev. Yeah, they're Russian. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I guess in Russian, it's just what I understand.
Well, Joe Biden said Kiev, but everybody else says Kiev. I say Kiev, but I say Kiev to be ironic.
Apparently, the Ukrainian pronunciation.
Yeah, well, I say Kiev.
Kiev is the Russian pronunciation.
90% of the Ukrainians wanted and assimilate with. Yeah, I watched videos of this guy who went over there. And they're in Ukraine, and he went into a house, and the house was like gutted pretty much, and it was all Russians living there. And it was an elderly woman who was sitting there on a bed, and she was talking, and she said, "Look," she said, "Russia is the only country that always helped us." She said they gave us food, they gave us economic help. She goes, "We love Mother Russia." She goes, "We're living here." But what happened was, see, when when the Soviets came, they would put like 10,000 Russians inside of a country right near their borders and just displace everybody in those houses and give them their homes, right? Or build homes for them so that they would Russianize the borders, right? They did this intentionally. And then when the wall came down, those people were like, because everybody else had a memory. They're like, get the fuck out. They had a memory of what happened to them. And so that's who these people were. They were like the children or the grandchildren. She's now an older woman, but they were like the grandchildren of those original people that were placed there. So now they just want to go home, right? But it was an interesting series that I watched. So now what's next? What's now? Oh, yeah, here we go. Don Lemon is in trouble.
That's another one that I wish would just go away.
I know. Don Lemon now faces federal charges for storming the church in Minnesota after Minnesota officials declined state prosecution. Of course they did, because none of them believe in the First Amendment. Former CNN host Don Lemon is now facing federal charges stemming from a disruptive protest at a Minnesota church after local officials declined to pursue state criminal charges, citing insufficient evidence. The videos were not insufficient. He was standing there. He misguided and everything, saying, well, this is what the First Amendment's all about. Well, no, it isn't, dumbass. You have freedom of speech, but you can't go and infiltrate a church. And the church is private property. And on the video, the pastor said, I'd like you to leave. If you could. Could you leave? You want us to leave? You don't want to let? No, yeah, leave. Get out. And he never left. All right. So the controversy.
Even if you claim First Amendment. Look, you know, you have free speech, but you are not free from the consequences of your speech.
Right.
You can say what you want.
Right. The controversy centers on an incident in City's Church in St. Paul, where a group of anti-ICE activists entered the word. You know all that, right? Federal prosecutors have already brought charges against participants involved in the demonstration, but city officials have determined the available evidence does not support state-level criminal prosecution. Bullshit. I'll bet these same state-level prosecutors went after people outside abortion clinics that were the requisite 500 feet for praying and singing. I'll bet they did, because it's all political with the Dems, with blue states. The decision has sparked criticism from church leaders and renewed debate over religious liberty, protest rights, and equal enforcement of the law. Pastor questions city's commitment to religious freedom. City's church pastor Ryan Griffith publicly challenged St. Paul Mayor Kauli Her following the city's decision not to pursue charges. Quote, Mayor Her, is that her pronoun or her name? Mayor Her on April 20, in your address on the state of St. Paul, you said that you are committed to listening and acting and to lifting, Jesus, St. Paul higher to its full potential, Griffith said. But I wonder, do you include evangelical Christians in the commitment? Or do you only care about those you agree with? You have left us to wonder this. Well, let's see.
Mayor
There he
Her,
is. That's him.
On April 20th, in your address on the state of St. Paul, you said
I like that
you are committed to listening and to acting and to lifting St. Paul higher to its full potential. But I wonder,
I like this guy.
do you include evangelical Christians in that commitment?
No, he doesn't.
Or do you only care about those you agree with? You have left us to wonder this.
Yeah.
Mayor Her.
Yes. Yeah, they're just political animals on the left. And they claim we're the same way. Winner, chicken, Kiev dinner. Kiev. That's it. Mayor Her is a him. Yeah, okay. Mayor Her is a him. What's your pronouns? John. Terrifying new weapon. Beautiful women. Okay. The world without the UN is a better place. Here you go. This is a good one. Media wants to know why men are walking away from liberal society. This is Zero Hedge. Okay. Recent surveys paint what might seem like an apocalyptic picture. In the U.S., around 45% of men ages 18 to 25 do not approach women anymore to engage in dating or relationships. They do it online. Over 42% of all men have no interest in seeking out women for relationships or casual dates. Do you blame them? All right, around 30% of men over 40 years old have never been married and are not necessarily seeking marriage. Do you blame them? In light of ongoing concerns about population decline around the world, the first thing most people might say is that men need to step up and fulfill their role in order to save the human species from a children of men movie scenario. However, this suggests that it's men's fault and that checking out the current system is a bad thing. It's a narrow-minded view. To be clear, the narrative of the male loneliness epidemic is a propaganda fantasy designed to shame men into returning to the liberal fold. It's not happening. The truth is, men are not lonely. They are deliberately refusing to participate in order to make a point. What we are witnessing is perhaps the most substantial mass boycott, get it? Boycott, all right, of liberal ideology in history as men go more conservative. It's a boycott the establishment media does not want to acknowledge. I don't even want to get into this. Anyway, in a recent expose by The Guardian, the outlet dares to ask a forbidden question. Is the Me Too movement the reason men are opting out of relationships in liberal society? No. It's because y'all went nuts. Sadly, they barely delve into the truth of the matter and instead regurgitate the old standby excuses. Men are afraid of women because of a lack of emotional intelligence. Yeah, right. Men are having trouble navigating the new world of fluid gender roles and women's independence. Women's independence means screw you. I'm taking half. You know, right? Men are being lured into toxic masculinity by conservative movements, etc. Let's see how long this is. We're not watching that. 17 minutes long. Is this one any shorter? It could be unfettered moment. These people believe the trans nonsense too. You're exactly right. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I think because I don't want to get in trouble. There you go. Very happy. They're very. Why the men do not go to these preeminent sex research centers.
Weaving it at birth.
Shut up.
Third wave feminism.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I mean,
here's what it is. You ready? Read it.
Yeah. Yep.
Am I right, guys?
You know, here's the thing. I'm a professional trained, so obviously I think women can get educated and get a job.
Sure,
but
why not?
You can't. What the third wave feminism has done, in my mind, is it trained women to treat men as useless and unnecessary. And you can't treat a guy like a doormat and expect him to be happy with you.
Thank you. That's exactly correct.
You just can't. You know, you can be intelligent. You can be a working person, working woman.
Right.
But you have to respect your partner.
Yep.
And it's not one way. It's not.
But he was wrong. Exactly. I used to identify as a mule. Oh man. But yeah, exactly. See, the thing is, the young men today, they watch their fathers put up with that shit, and then they dated, and they're like, oh shit, you know, there's nothing traditional anymore in most of them. You're lucky when you find one. You're lucky when you find a traditional woman. You're very, very lucky.
Yeah, the first time
because they're wonderful.
You know, the first time your girlfriend says something that tries to put you in your place, you're going, I don't need any of this.
Exactly. That's just it. You know, and the way that the feminazis, the way that they have portrayed men over the years is bullshit. It's like every year they have an article that comes out that has all these percentages. They say there's a large percentage of men that do mental mental assault on their companions, wives, whatever, right? And they don't tell you that because you got to read it way down in the article, and nobody goes that far, right? And so what they don't tell you is they put in there like part of it is he calls her fat, calls her stupid, calls her ugly, stuff like that. But then the 80% is way down in the article because Dr. Thomas Sowell reported all this shit. He pointed it out, right? And he goes, now look all the way down here where the one is where a man leaves the house, like just leaves the house to avoid a fight. They put that in the study, the feminazis, that was part of psychological assault. Because he didn't want to fight, so he just left the house, stormed out of the house, so that there wouldn't be a fight. You know, personally, I would prefer that, right? But they did shit like that, and they would have these real extreme things, and then they'd throw something very minor, if not even a problem, really out of order, and that would be the 90%. You know, that's what they did, and then they wanted you to believe that most marriages are rape. Sex in a good marriage is rape as well, right? Even though that studies have proven, according to Dr. Thomas Sowell again, who I love, that women are the most are the least married women are the least likely in the United States, statistically wise, to meet with danger, with being harmed. Because younger women, what do? They go out to clubs like everybody else, and you go out to a club, you have a chance of being involved in some kind of, fight or, getting harmed, right? Getting hurt. But American husbands overwhelmingly protect their wives and daughters. They just overwhelmingly do, according to all the stats they looked at and the police reports and all that bullshit, right? But
what's wrong with that?
Nothing. And the feminazis, they didn't want you to think that way, because just like the SPLC, they wanted the fucking money to be delivered to you. So they write these articles every year with bullshit in them, saying that men are just evil, toxic masculinity. Yeah, here you go, 40. They also interview men convicted of abuse and use their views as normal. Exactly. They do that kind of shit all the time. They just lie. In fact, there was one, Christine Hoff Sommers. She was a feminist who I loved. I thought she was great because she was an equity feminist. I'm an equity feminist. If a woman really does a man's job, I mean, really, guys, not just has the job, I mean, really does a man's job, she should be paid the exact same. Commensurate with how much experience at the job she's had to him, right? She should be paid the same. I believe that. But what Christy Hoff Sommers used to do is like knock out the gender feminists. She would write books again. Like she was smart because she knew that this is going to cause real problem. And you can trace the divorce rate in America back to the feminist movement. How it went real high to what it is today. Like, what is it, 50%? Harridans, yeah. Yeah, she was good. Yeah. I'm glad somebody else knew who she was. Yeah, Christine Hoff Sommers. She wrote several books. She wrote a lot of books, but several books that I read, and because I really liked her. And she used to write articles every now and then too. But I really liked her because she made a lot of sense. And she was a feminist. Trust me, guys. But she wasn't a whack job feminist. That even sex in a good marriage is rape for a woman. Fuck you. It is not. Right. And just ruined a lot of relationships with that garbage.
Yeah. I mean, a relationship is a two-way thing.
Yeah.
You have to help and support each other.
And look, I'm going to say this too. Yes, there are beer guzzling bowlers that should be buried under the prison, right? There are. But they are the exception, not the rule. They wanted to make it seem the other way around.
Yeah, and for those guys who consistently psychologically torture their wife and call them fat and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
So, assholes. Okay, now they want to turn it around and make it legit so women can do that to men and not face any consequences.
That's the thing too, right? Hold on. The Duluth model was based on an extensive study over 2 weeks with 3 victims and 2 abusers. Yeah. Well, what they do, they want to turn it around. Now, here's the thing. Okay. Ready? I studied crime statistics, right? That I went to college for that, right? And what we've learned is that women back in the day, there weren't even statistics on crime from women. They just didn't commit crime. Doesn't mean no woman committed a crime. Yeah, they poison a husband, the murder of choice, but there wasn't enough women involved in like daily like assaults and shit like that. Today, forget about it. That's what your feminism brought you, right? Now you have women all the time that are getting caught. I mean, we watch videos all the time, all these women beating the shit out of each other, right? Like who wants to see that? Right? I don't want to see that. Right? But that's what your feminism got you. Is now you have a lot of young women that are just as aggressive, like, with the cursing, the drugs, and, committing crimes, burglaries, robberies, all kinds of shit. And that's what feminism brought you.
Yeah, and expectation. They want to give no respect and no back and forth, and they have all this expectation. And you have to treat them like a princess and take care of their 4 kids by 3 different baby daddies.
Right.
And you can't expect anything out of her. And that's just not how a relationship works.
Right.
It just doesn't. I got a question for you. This is something that has really bothered me forever.
What was
Ever
that?
since I ever heard about it. I've heard, and I guess it's mostly women that do this, but they'll start an argument to have makeup sex.
That happens a lot, yeah. But then also a lot of times when husband and wife, like if she doesn't want to do something, she'll start an argument so that he walks off. And that's getting back to he'll have to be hit with the blame because he's the one that stormed off, right? And didn't want to talk it out. Why would you want to talk it out to somebody that's not listening to you and thinks that you're wrong all the time?
And that is like so dysfunctional. How can you think that is a way to treat a man or any partner? How can you treat a partner that way and expect to have a good relationship?
Now, don't get me wrong. There are still plenty of wonderful women out there. I mean, just wonderful women. I consider most of them to be conservatives, right? I don't think today's liberal women, I wouldn't even give them the time of day if I was a younger man. No.
Well, listen, if you ever go out looking and the lady, and I use that term loosely, has a nose ring and pink or blue hair, just walk away. Walk away.
Yeah. Let me present this. Hang on. Share screen. This was the first book that I read from Christie. Right. It was Who Stole Feminism? How Women Have Betrayed Women. Let me just read this for you. Who Stole Feminism? Philosophy professor Christina Summers, it's Hoff Summers, has exposed how a group of zealots are promoting a dangerous new agenda that sets women against men in all spheres of life. In case after case, Summers shows how these extremists have propped up their arguments with highly questionable but well-funded research, presenting inflammatory and often inaccurate information and stifling any semblance of free and open scrutiny. That was a hell of a book. That's the one that put her on the map. And what year was it? 95. That's the one that put her on the map. And then and you know who talked about her a lot? Rush Limbaugh. He talked about her a lot. He liked her too.
Yeah, I mean,
purple and blue hair. Yeah.
you're not going to get away from the fact, despite the fact that there are 87 different genders and men can get pregnant too. Despite all that, you're not going to get away from the fact that the woman is the one who has the babies, bears the children.
Yes.
It just is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's her I'm sorry, it's her responsibility with the pregnancy thing.
Yeah, I mean,
a guy's going to be an animal no matter what. And I'm sorry to say that because it sounds like so fucking chauvinistic. I know, but that's how it is.
Well, it is how it is. And I'm sure many women who are pregnant would like to share that with their partners, with their husbands. Here, you keep it for a month, but that's just not how it works. Right. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way.
Exactly right.
And that what it comes down to, this is going to be a real shock to you, Rich. I know, brace yourself.
Brace everyone.
Men and women are different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Feminism has given me sexually confused child. Yep. And only a good thing is she's not pretending. Good. God bless.
Yeah. So, but I always wondered about this thing about makeup sex, because I'm thinking if I ever found out that somebody started a fight with me because they were thinking they wanted to have great makeup sex, I would be so incensed. I'd have to go to the next room because I'd want to break something.
Yeah. Well, guess what? It happens more often than not. And another thing is, a lot of women today, they were told, like this happened to my brother, and he's told the story a million times. Jimmy from Philly, he's told the story a million times, and I know it's true because I know his ex. But she was like, it was his years where he was sober. He was sober like 9 years or something, and he was living. They didn't get married, but he was living with his partner. Her name was Carol, and they had her daughter, right? And she was still drinking and probably doing coke. And he kept saying to it, because he feared that she would take the baby out and put her in the car in the car seat and all and drive her around when she just drank like a fifth of vodka, like in one drink, right? Driving around drunk and all. And he really feared that. But here he was out at work all day. He couldn't stop her. But he had a spy across the street, a woman across the street who couldn't stand her and would call him and go, yeah, she's staggering, put the kid in the car. You might want to come home. So he told her, he said, look, you got to make a choice, you know, the family or booze. And she chose booze. So she wanted him out of the house. So she lied and said that my brother threw his baby on the floor. Right. And to this day, he goes psycho with that because he didn't do it. And I know he didn't do it. Right. And he won the case in court because she was stupid. She had to testify. And so he was allowed to question her. And he said, you know, so you say I threw the baby on the floor? And she's like, yes. And he goes, well, how hard? She goes, very hard. Like that. And he goes, all right, do you have photographs of the injury? She goes, no. He goes, oh, you have a hospital report, right? If I threw it that hard. He goes, can you demonstrate how hard? And the judge was like, how are you going to do that? And he goes, she has a purse. She can throw the purse down. Here, she spiked it like a fucking football, and half the courtroom laughed. You know, so he says, okay, so you say that I threw the baby on the floor like that, but you never took her to the hospital. What kind of mother are you? You know, that's how he was playing it. You know, and the judge fell on his side. You know, it's like going to, yep. I see, it's okay. In the MRM, everyone is equal, so I got no autographs. But the red pill art on the wall in the frame, yeah. You should see her girlfriend, young Goldie Hawn, Tweety Bird's eyes. Nice. Nice. Very cool. So what's the next one? Let's do one more. Democrats have a Joe Biden problem. Is that the one I looked at? Yeah, this is the one where they say there's a Joe Biden problem. Watch this. They always had a Joe Biden problem, but now they're admitting it. So the Democrats have a Joe Biden problem. All right. Most people, let me bring this up. Most people, when they wear out their welcome, eventually pick up on the hint. Joe Biden and Jill Biden are not most people. While the rest of the country has made its feelings about the Biden era abundantly clear, this couple keeps showing up, keeps grabbing microphones, and keeps demanding attention that nobody asked for. The numbers CNN chief data analyst laid out this week tell a brutal story about a failed presidency and raise a harder question. How much longer can the Democratic Party afford to stay tethered to his legacy? See, it was horrible. Think about all the shit we went through under him. CNN anchor John Berman brought in chief data analyst Harry Enton, right? The guy that we like, right? He's honest with the polls, right? To break down just how toxic the Biden brand has become. And the data didn't pull any punches. Quote, the American people have one message for the Bidens. That is, go away, go away. Is there a video? Oh, here it is.
American people have one message for the Bidens. That is, go away, go away. I mean, just look at this. Look at Biden's net favorable rating. In January of 2025, it was minus 22 points. Has it gone any better? No, not really. He's still way underwater here at minus 19 points. He's 28 points underwater with independents. Joe Biden ended his term as president, is quite unpopular, and he remains quite unpopular. He is an anchor to the Democratic Party and potentially their fortunes.
That's why they're not bringing him into their campaign.
How does that compare to other former Democratic presidents?
Okay, let's go back through the history books. I went back through the spreadsheets, right? This is essentially what we're looking at. Former Democratic presidents' net favorability at this point post-presidency. The lowest by far is Joe Biden, 19 points underwater. Barack Obama was a rock star, 31 points above water. How about Bill Clinton?
Well, because their belief was he shits rainbows and ice cream, and you'd be a racist if you didn't approve of him.
Wasn't so popular after office, but even then, he was just 3 points underwater, basically breaking even. And then Jimmy Carter was 22 points above water.
Well, that's because Jimmy Carter was an asshole, a goofball, but he wasn't like a crook. The three after him were a crook. Let's be honest. They were criminals.
Joe Biden, the most unpopular former Dem president at this point post-presidency of any Democrat that I could find going through the spreadsheets over the last 50 years.
How's Dr. Jill Biden doing?
Okay, so Joe Biden, obviously not Joe Biden, though they are married. Okay, just look at this. Was she a popular first lady? Dem first lady's net favorability at the end of their final term, she was just 2 points above water. Obviously not as bad as Joe Biden is, but Michelle Obama was 43.
I'd like to know what Melania is.
Points above water. Hillary Clinton was 13 points above water. Again, you're just looking at this and you're seeing that Joe Biden was historically unpopular for a Democratic first lady compared to the two other Democratic first ladies you see on the screen, which again matches what we see with Joe Biden's unpopularity.
Part of this might just be this recent shift sort of against the idea of establishment. What are we seeing in the prediction markets that might indicate there are some issues there?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the legacies of Joe Biden and sticking on for as long as he did is distrust of the Democratic establishment. And that is why, just take a look here. Chance that 4+ House Democrats, in fact, lose their primary in 2026. Look at this, 68%. I look back.
Now look at this. I had these lib nuts on Facebook all week long that I was trashing. And they're saying that, oh, you haven't watched Harry Enton in a while because he says the Republicans are way down. Well, look at this. House Dem incumbents, they're saying lose their primary. It's a 68% chance that they lose their primary. That's how unpopular they are. Isn't that something?
Back at every single cycle that I could find that was not a post-census redistricting cycle. And the highest I could find in terms of Democrats losing, get this, was only 3. So this would actually beat it. Democratic angst against the establishment and an all-time high, I think in large part driven by the fact that Joe Biden is so unpopular, and therefore you have just this great distrust of the Dem establishment.
All right. That's exactly right. Trump has to get, let's be honest, he has to get the price of gas down.
Yeah, that'll be important. If he gets that done.
If he gets that done, everything else is roses because the jobs reports are pretty good and they're not phony like Biden and Obama, right? So he's really got to do something about that.
Yeah, and he doesn't have very long to do it either.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's see. Not sending their best. Liberals. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Oh, this guy here. Yeah. Let's do this. Share screen. All right, here we go. It's not racist to notice reality. This guy Gill, I like him. He's in Congress. He's like a freshman. When you are passing judgments on individuals regarding their character, it is not right to judge them based on their immutable characteristics as part of a group. Correct. I agree. We judge individuals based on who they are and what they do. On the other hand, when you are evaluating a group, it's just as wrong to disaggregate it into individual atoms and claim that there are no group characteristics that are relevant to making a judgment. We call that bullshit. Yeah. That's why it is simultaneously true that individuals who are part of some group may be good and the group as a whole is still harmful. Yes, the Democratic Party. When I meet a liberal, for instance, I do not immediately assume that they are degenerates who embrace demonic practices, while I feel perfectly comfortable saying that as a group, the Democratic Party is degenerate and embraces demonic practices like sterilizing and mutilating children, endorsing Nazis who become communists, and Al-Qaeda supporters. Yeah, New Jersey. Primary, New Jersey handed it to a person that was associated with Al-Qaeda. And it's in a city where the guy that said, let's roll. Remember on that plane, let's roll? The one that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Well, that's where his resting place was. And so they're going to elect, because you win the primary as a Democrat in that state, you won. Right? Unreal. Both can be true. Some of my favorite people are Democrats. The Democratic Party is evil. So here we go. Watch.
It's not playing.
Oh, hold on. Share. Sorry. Thank you for doing that. There you go.
Has Somali immigration been good for Ohio?
You know, that's really outside of my purview of
You're a state senator. Would you like to see more
well,
immigration from
as far
Somalia?
as I'm processing your question, and I have to say that I was almost brought to tears just now
70%
because
of
the
Somali
rate,
immigrants are on
the rate
welfare.
and the
Listen.
level of hateful rhetoric based on
defrauding your
false
state at an
information
astounding rate,
is
and I think
shocking.
that most Ohioans
Is
would have a
shocking
problem
to me.
with that.
That lack of even humanity to
I
group
think it's
a group
inhumane
of
to allow
people
your own
together.
state to be
I
defrauded
am
at a
shocked.
She's going on about, I am shocked that you would insult these people of color, right? And he's like reading out like how many of them, 60% are on welfare, crime, all this crap, right?
I am shocked
billions
and
of dollars
appalled by
taken
the
out of the
behavior
pockets
here
of
right
working
now.
class people
I am
going to
shocked.
criminal fraudsters.
Because
I certainly
in
have a major problem
in every
with that.
community,
I think
there are
that's
good
an issue. And I think
people and
most
She's
there
not,
are
it's like she's not even listening.
bad people.
regular order.
But to try to
Understand
say
we're not supposed
bad
to
people.
disrespect. We're not supposed to
And
disrespect
with
our
that said,
witnesses.
we're out of
member of a
time, Miss
group
Antonio.
We're not
is
We're out of
somehow
time.
a
We've already gone
criminal
over here.
is shocking to me. I am shocked and appalled.
Already out of time here.
He's like telling her.
Well,
like,
that's a Democrat technique. They just talk over you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they, you're a racist because, like, that's all they know.
Well, I called you a racist. I won the argument.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, a racist to a Democrat is anyone who wins an argument against a minority. That's what it is. Not to conservatives. And they treat black conservatives worse than anybody is treated. They really do. Let's see. Let's get on. What's this one? Clown show continue. Yeah, look at this. Oh no, I want to do, before we leave, I got to do John Fetterman. Okay.
He's always good.
I know he is. He actually is. Like I said, I would only vote for him if we would still win the Senate majority, and they put up a rhino against them. That's the only way I would. This is, oh my, John Fetterman. Let's see. Oh my, John Fetterman's challenge to Graham Plattner. Here we go. Senator John Fetterman, my senator, has not made some of his fellow Democrats happy when he's been willing to call out their extreme positions, and he does a lot. He's, excuse me, he's one of the few Democrats willing to sometimes honestly say what he thinks, regardless of whether it helps or hurts his party. He didn't hold back when asked about the hot button Democrat issue of the day, the scandal-plagued presumptive Democratic candidate from the Senate from Maine, Graham Plattner, excuse me. Fetterman blasted Plattner over the revelations about his Kick account. Kick is young women are on Kick, all right, and reported sexting with other women. He said, this guy that had a problem with me how I dress, this is a guy that had a problem with me how I dress, but he seemed to have no problem posing in a towel at a disgusting website that consistently had serious problems about that kinds of depravity. Sorry.
Yeah, when you say young women, there's an emphasis on young.
Yes.
Like adolescent.
Yeah. Excuse me. Fetterman wasn't quite done. Then he laid down a challenge for Plattner to reveal those messages he had with the women. Let me make a deal. I'll tell P. Hustle I'll wear a suit every day if he releases all those texts and messages that he's had, Fetterman said. P. Hustle was a reference to the account name Plattner reportedly had on his Kick account. You can prove to America what's in these conversations. Can P. Hustle, can you imagine that, prove how old these people are? Fetterman not holding back anything. Fetterman also hit Plattner on the vile comments he made about members of the military, which included saying that a wounded American soldier didn't deserve to live. Quote, as a Democrat, I'm never going to carry water for a guy that calls an American hero a dumb MFer or someone that smears Chris Kyle. Exactly, Fetterman said. He thought that why doesn't he become a Republican? He's better than the rhinos already. He thought that Plattner had said so many offensive things that it was hard to keep up. He was also asked if he thought there were more scandals coming. Fetterman replied, well, he lied to everybody. He said that there wasn't any after his Nazi tattoo situation. And now there's more and more of the things. So he's already lied about that. Fetterman added, so I assume, it's like they say, for every ranch you see in Texas, there's 50 that you haven't seen. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot more ranches in P. Hustle's life. We'll have to see what comes out. But Democrats have sold their souls and hitched their wagon to him in their quest for the Senate. They were more concerned about control than principle. They're already past the point of no return on Plattner, and they have no credibility even to recover there. We don't need to read more. Yeah, but they'll put anybody up. Like I hate to say it now, but they continued to push Fetterman when he didn't have a brain, when he couldn't talk. After his stroke, when he couldn't talk and he had to read, he couldn't understand what people said, just because they wanted to take the Senate, right?
And he's got zero chance of winning a primary at this point.
Oh yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. I think he would still win, because a lot of people would support him. And I don't think they would put a primary on him. I don't think so. Let's put this one up. Let's see. Here we go.
Who would you date? A liberal woman more or a conservative woman more?
I want her to have her own opinions, and I want her to be happy in her opinion, and I want us to work together.
My answer is conservative, personally.
It's not that complicated. Answer's conservative.
Yeah, no, politics don't go in my relationship, but I would say conservative.
Yeah.
Conservative. Conservative as well.
We love conservatism.
I think that if you are just like a level-headed person, discern from what is bull and what's not, I think that, you're a person that, I could get along with.
That's
I respect that.
Yeah. Conservative.
Why not a liberal?
Because they care too much about everyone's feelings.
Frick your feelings.
Yeah,
Who would you date?
Because they're nuts. That's why.
And if
They're
you're a
fucking
level-headed
nuts.
person, you're probably a conservative.
Yeah, they're knuckin' fucks is what it is.
Yeah, he said he wants to date a level-headed person. Yeah, if you're level-headed, you're probably a conservative.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. I got another one. Excuse me, man. I am choking here. Okay. Here we go.
All right. Well,
This
we made it.
Yeah, I got one more to play. They never show videos like this. Here we go. We like
I
this.
wonder why they never show videos like this about Trump. Kind of interesting.
I was an Army veteran for 7.5 years, diagnosed with bladder cancer, stage 3. I asked the doctor, I said, what are you going to do? You going to cut me here or here or what? They're like, no, if we do that, as soon as we open you up, you're dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it that bad? And he said, yeah, it's bad. He goes, well, we're going to start you on a very extensive chemotherapy. And I was telling my wife, I said, we haven't even got a bill yet. So I called them and they said, your bill has been paid. And I said, what do you mean my bill's been paid? I haven't made a payment yet. They said, Donald J. Trump?
He's getting emotional.
She said, your bill has been paid. So, I owe him that.
He does stuff like that all the time too. He really did. He did stuff. There was a case where there was a black woman that was living on one of the floors it wasn't the 13th floor of his hotel, but it was one of the floors. Hey, what's up, Charlie? How you doing? Good to see you. And she was living on one of the floors that was usually it was an apartment, but the floor itself was abandoned because nobody lived there because it had storage stuff and all that. And she was living there for several years, and so she had her own cell service, but she was a squatter. And some people found out, and they were trying to kick her out. And Trump, he said, no, wait. So he went down and literally met her and talked to her and said, why are you living here? She said, I was homeless. She said, and I found out that this room has heat. So I just started staying here. I'm really sorry. I'll leave. And he goes, no, don't. And so he cut a deal with her, right? And he went to his people and he said, every day you bring her breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you bring fresh flowers every morning. You're never going to charge her rent. And like he did her up, right? But you'll never hear those stories. Why? Because their people don't do stuff like that. You know, Barack Obama would, if he met someone like that, he would have said, well, you know, there's got to be a government program somewhere that you can use. You know, I mean, that's what he would do. But Trump, like, actually went out of his way to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Obama would say there's got to be a government program.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, there's got to be a program somewhere.
No, but then he'd try and make one.
Yeah, exactly.
When there wasn't one, he'd try to make one.
They use other people's money, right? That's what it is. They use other people's money. They don't use their own.
And of course, that's the problem with socialism. I think we said that last week.
Yeah.
The problem with socialism happens when you run out of other people's money.
Yeah, good old Maggie said that. Yeah. I loved Margaret Thatcher, guys. I just did. Yeah, she was awesome. Yeah, she, Reagan, and Pope John Paul II took down that communism, the Soviet Union. I think the three of them had a big hand in that. All right, guys, thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Every Friday night, you spend the full 3 with us. I appreciate it. Jade appreciates it. So do me a favor, hit like before you leave if you could. I'm sorry you got here late, Charlie. Sorry about that. But yeah, we break down at 9, 3 hours. Both of our alarms are going off. So you guys have a great weekend. I didn't do any streams this week. I was going to do like a lot of streams this week because I didn't do them because my company where I'm working, it's like massive work, just nonstop day and night. And so it was a lot. So I couldn't do it, but I'm going to try to start doing like at least 3 streams a week, including Friday. So yeah, you guys are awesome. Take care. 40. I'll see you tomorrow night. Let me know. Hit me up, man. Read the email I sent you out earlier in the week and let me know what you think. All right. Let me see. I'll try to pop by next Friday. You're awesome, Charlie. Concert tonight. I was canceled. Oh, due to the rain. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Who was the concert? Tell us. Who were you supposed to go see? I don't even know. I haven't gone to a concert in a while.
Yeah, we're so used to watching them all on
on YouTube and all.
YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We are out of here. Have a great night. See you guys, most of you, tomorrow night on 40 stream. 40's address is down. His link is down in the description for those of you guys that are watching that don't know who he is. He's the Ulster poet patriot. All right. And he's seriously, you'll have a good time on his stream. Tomorrow night, it would be 5:30 Eastern time. All right. See you guys. Have a good one. Yeah.
Thanks,
Stream with
guys.
Jimmy. Yeah,
Thanks,
you're right.
guys. See you next week.
All right, see you guys.